Good evening, everybody. It's 6 o'clock. Welcome to the May 6th City Council meeting. Thank you all for being here. And we're going to start with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Bracco. If we could all please stand.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you could please remain standing, we have Father Michael Hendrickson of St. Mary's Church here to do the invocation.
I invite you to join me in prayer this night. Lord, we ask your blessing upon the members of our City Council this lovely evening. Grant them the gifts of patience and careful listening as they listen to the public comments, the public hearings, and the many committee reports on the agenda. Grant them the gift of knowledge to understand and think through the ramifications of the decisions that they're called to make this evening. And grant them the gift of wisdom to make decisions for the common good of the residents of our city. May these men and women be blessed for the immense time and energy they spend in the service of the people of Gilroy, fulfilling the promises of our founding fathers of enlightened self-government. We ask this in your most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Everyone be seated.
The agenda was posted to the bulletin board on Friday, May 3rd at 8:31 a.m. Councilmember Bracco?
Here.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Here.
Councilmember Marks?
Here.
Councilmember Hilton?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Tovar?
Here.
Mayor Blankley?
Here. Okay, orders of the day, we have none. I'd just like to give a brief reminder to all of us to please not use your cell phones or laptop to communicate privately on matters that are on our agenda. Okay, all matters pertaining to what we deliberate should be in open public view. All right, moving on to employee introductions. Heath McMahon, you want to start us off with Utilities Department.
All right, very good. Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, members of the public. I'm excited to announce to you we have a new management analyst starting for the Utilities Department. Isabella Surligano is here tonight, and she joins the City of Gilroy, 6 years public sector experience in roles related to environmental sustainability, contract management, program evaluation and implementation. Her most recent role was with the City of San Jose's Environmental Services Department, and she also worked with the cities of Emeryville and Walnut Creek. She has 2 master's degrees, one in urban and regional planning and one in the geosciences. So Isabella will be working with the utility department budgets, contract management, reporting to the state, and help me setting up the department and a wide variety of other tasks. So we're really looking forward to. She's already moving and doing a lot. So I've seen her around. She's hustling and already making an impact. So she moved to Morgan Hill 3 years ago with her husband and 11-year-old daughter, and we're very excited to have her on board. So please join me in welcoming Isabella.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Mayor Blankley, esteemed council members, thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to join the new and growing team of utilities. And also, I'm looking forward to working closely to Heath, who seems to have a wealth of knowledge. I've been working already for 3 weeks, and he's a great mentor already. And also working on pushing forward all the sewer and wastewater projects and water that relates with capital improvement projects. So thank you for these great opportunities. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, Police Captain Luke Powell, are you here to introduce your peeps?
I'm pleased to introduce our newest addition to our police department, Police Officer Lucas Ascension. Officer Ascension brings a wealth of experience, having previously worked in retail and security, notably at Northridge Mall in Salinas, before transitioning to law enforcement in 2020, joining the Monterey County Sheriff's Office as a Deputy Sheriff for the Custody Operations Bureau. Officer Ascension's tenure is marked by versatility and dedication. While working in the jail, he also undertook collateral assignments such as serving as a bailiff, contributing to the transportation unit, and proudly representing the department as a member of the Honor Guard. This diverse experience instills confidence in his ability to handle a wide range of situations. Officer Ascension's academic achievements are equally commendable. He graduated from North Salinas High School in 2011 and earned an associate's degree in Administration of Justice with honors from Hartnell College in 2014. Continuing his academic pursuits, Officer Ascension obtained his bachelor's degree in Social and Behavioral Science with honors from Cal State University, Monterey Bay in 2016. Beyond his professional endeavors, Officer Ascension leads an active and fulfilling life. He is an avid gym enthusiast and motorcycle rider, currently owning a Harley. He finds joy in spending quality time with his wife, Marissa. In introducing Officer Ascension, I must also acknowledge his supportive family, including his mother, Nancy, father, Robert, and sister, Sarah. Their unwavering encouragement and support have undoubtedly played a significant role in shaping Officer Ascension's journey. As Officer Ascension embarks on this new chapter of his career with our department, I am confident that his dedication, skills, and commitment to community service will be invaluable assets to our team and the safety and well-being of our city. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Officer Lucas Ascension.
I didn't realize I was going to have to say something, but come with a little bit of experience working custody in the Monterey County Jail. But yeah, I'm just glad to be here. My wife works here in Gilroy. That's the whole reason why I wanted to come over here, help make sure that my wife was safe at work, and then the community at Gilroy, and make sure the community at Gilroy is safe as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Fire Chief Wyatt. We have 3 promotion introductions, right? Yay.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor and Council. Yes, I'm very honored to introduce 3 very worthy personnel who recently got promoted. I'm going to start off with the very first one, and that is Fire Division Chief Greg Lopez. Division Chief Greg Lopez joined the department in November of 2002 as a firefighter paramedic. He promoted to the rank of fire engineer in 2011. He then promoted to the rank of fire captain in 2021. He holds an associate degree in fire science and is nearing completion of his bachelor's degree in fire administration. Greg is also a certified California State Fire Chief Officer and holds numerous other professional certifications. Greg is married to his wife, Mandy, and has 2 adult boys, John and Matthew. In his spare time, Greg enjoys family vacations, learning guitar, golfing, and has a lot of love for baseball. Please help me congratulate Greg Lopez on his promotion to Fire Division Chief.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council, members of the public. It's an honor to stand here before you. 2002, I never would have thought that I'd be a chief officer in the Gilroy Fire Department when I was first introduced as a new firefighter. But I'm humbled. I'm humbled to continue to serve this great community and the city and the department. I got to say thanks first to God for His blessing over my life and my career, and I'd also like to thank my family and friends for the love and support during my career. Promoting is never easy, and it takes a lot of time away from family to study and prepare for that. So thank you for sticking by me. And last but not least, I'd like to thank city staff and Fire Chief Jim Wyatt for their confidence in me and selecting me to this position. I look forward to continuing to serve in a higher capacity, and thank you for the opportunity.
Congratulations.
The next candidate isn't able to make it tonight. He had another family commitment, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce him to you anyway. His name is Fire Captain Casey Main. He started the Gilroy Fire Department back in November 2006, and as a firefighter paramedic, he spent 17 years proudly serving the residents of Gilroy. Prior to joining Gilroy Fire, Casey was a call volunteer firefighter in Santa Cruz County, attended Cabrillo College and paramedic school, and worked as an EMT and paramedic in 3 other counties. Casey grew up around the firehouse. His father, Kelly, was a Honolulu firefighter, and Casey had a great many number of examples of what it meant to be a public servant. As a child, Casey learned through his family about hard work, camaraderie, family, faith, trust, honesty, respect, integrity, selflessness, and teamwork. These are the core values that Casey believes planted the seeds that made the fire service his true calling and purpose. Casey would like to thank his wife, Summer, and 2 daughters, Shay and Malia, for their sacrifice, love, and support over the years. Please help me congratulate Casey Main for his promotion to fire captain. Last but certainly not least, if I could have Fire Captain Kevin Beebe come up. Captain Beebe was hired with the Gilroy Fire Department in April of 2003. Kevin was promoted to fire engineer in 2013, where he served in that position as well as that of an acting captain. Kevin has been responsible for multiple projects throughout his career, and he is currently the program manager for our staffing and scheduling program. Prior to being hired with the Gilroy Fire, he worked for AMR as a paramedic in Santa Clara County and as a volunteer firefighter for several years. Kevin enjoys outdoor activities such as camping, fishing, and boating with his family and friends. He would like to thank you, his wife, 3 children, and his mentors for the love and support throughout the promotional process in his career. Kevin would also like to thank you, the council, that it is an honor to be promoted to the position of fire captain, and he is dedicated to providing a very high level of customer service to all those who need assistance in this community. Please help me congratulate Kevin Beebe for his promotion to fire captain.
I would like to say thank you very much. Greg Lopez promoted the position of chief. Thank you very much. And Chief Wong, his retirement, his long years of service, and his mentorship to me. Because of his retirement and Greg's promotion, I was able to get promoted. So thank you both. Thank you very much.
Okay, congratulations, everybody. All right, could I ask Martin Beltran to meet me over here at the podium, please? Okay, we have a retirement. This is a good one. Proclamation of the City of Gilroy. Whereas Marty Beltran has served the City of Gilroy for over 21 years, and whereas Martin began his law enforcement career in 1995, working for Soledad PD from 95 to 98, and Santa Cruz Sheriff Office from 98 to 2002. Martin joined the Gilroy Police Department in December of 2002. He has held numerous collateral duty assignments over his career to include field training officer, bike unit, hostage negotiations team, SWAT entry team, major accident investigation team, firearms instructor, and bike patrol unit. And whereas Martin held positions in specialized units to better serve our community, such as property crimes detective in the investigations unit and detective in the regional enforcement allied computer team. And whereas Martin is retiring from the position of police corporal and has left his legacy as one of public service, teamwork, compassion, and dedication. And whereas on May 9th, 2024, Corporal Martin Beltran will retire from the Gilroy Police Department with a sincere gratitude and appreciation of the Gilroy City Council for his years of dedicated public service to our fine city. Now, therefore, I, Marie Blankley, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, and on behalf of the City Council, the citizens, and employees of Gilroy, join in thanking Martin Beltran for his commitment of service and wish him well in retirement for years to come. Would you like to say something and then we'll get a picture?
kind of at a loss for words. Not really big on speeches, but I just want to say it's been an honor to serve this community. I grew up here, went to schools here, and got to finish my career here. It's like I said, it's been an honor to work here and be a part of the city and be able to protect it as best I could. Now we're leaving it to the younger crew that's coming aboard, and they're going to do just a great job doing that. So, but now I'm off to another chapter. This is not the end. So hopefully, my next chapter will be great. Thank you again for everything. Much appreciated. And like I said, I'm honored. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, we've got two proclamations, Affordable Housing Month and Building Safety Month. Sharon Bowie, will you meet me at the podium? All right, I might be able to do this one without glasses. We'll see. All right. Proclamation of the City Council of the City of Gilroy proclaiming May 2024 as Affordable Housing Month. Whereas affordable housing for all is an essential building block for strong and resilient communities, and whereas an affordable, stable, and safe place to call home provides everyone an opportunity to thrive, making our community healthier, more inclusive, and prosperous. And whereas affordable housing near employment centers and transit reduces traffic congestion, air pollution, and emissions, and lowers housing and transportation costs for local workers. And whereas the City of Gilroy is actively working towards reducing barriers to increase the production, preservation, and protection of affordable housing options. As part of this effort, the City is collaborating with a consortium of organizations to deliver services, ensure tenant protections, deliver innovative housing solutions, and end homelessness. And whereas the City of Gilroy, Silicon Valley at Home, and partnering organizations in Santa Clara County are dedicated to furthering safe, stable, permanent, and affordable housing to all members of the community. And whereas the City of Gilroy has partnered with local agencies to organize Affordable Housing Month to encourage the sharing of best practices, opportunities, and solutions to provide affordable housing for all. Now, therefore, I, Marie Blankley, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, on this 6th day of May, 2024, along with my colleagues on the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Affordable Housing Month and invite the Gilroy residents to support affordable housing solutions and recognize the efforts of the City of Gilroy and its community partners who seek to improve access to affordable housing opportunities in the City of Gilroy and our neighboring communities. Yay! You can go out, clap. Do you want to say anything or just take a picture? Okay. Got it? Okay. Do you want to say anything on this one? Or? Okay.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Council and the community for that proclamation. Outside in the lobby, you'll find a flyer. We are partnering with several nonprofit organizations to host a series of events in the month of May. We already had one last week, but we have 6 more coming. And these workshops cover the topics of fair housing, tenant-landlord resources, free home modification, safety repairs, and down payment assistance. They're offered in English and or Spanish, so please grab a flyer. There's a QR code up there too. That'll take you to our website where you'll find more details about all the workshops. So thank you for joining us and celebrate with us together.
Okay, we've got one more. This one is proclamation of the City of Gilroy, of the city, still, you can sit there if you want, that's okay. Okay. City of Gilroy, proclaiming May 2024 as Building Safety Month. Whereas the City of Gilroy is committed to recognizing that our growth and strength depends on the safety and essential role our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disaster strikes. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of the buildings comprising our community is ensured by the dedication of building safety officials, building inspectors, fire prevention officials, builders, design professionals, and others in the industry, individuals who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings and implement modern building codes to protect the public from hazards such as earthquakes, wildland fires, and floods. And whereas Building Safety Month, sponsored by the International Code Council, aims to remind the public about the critical role played by our code officials who assure the safety, sustainability, and affordability of buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Mission Impossible, the theme for Building Safety Month 2024, encourages us all to raise awareness about building safety on a personal, local, and global scale. And whereas in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to reaffirm their commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all by building departments and fire prevention bureaus in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Marie Blankley, Mayor of the City of Gilroy, on this 6th day of May, 2024, along with my colleagues on the City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Building Safety Month and invite Gilroy residents and businesses to support building safety and recognize the critical role played by the City of Gilroy's building safety and fire prevention professionals in protecting lives and property. Thanks. You want to say anything on that? I'll leave it to you. Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Our building safety team, as you heard, is busy this month as well. They're hosting some educational outreach at the Gilroy Library and the local hardware store. So please join us. We'll have more details coming. And May is just, a very busy month for our department. But thank you.
Sorry about that. My ears aren't so hot. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm here to acquaint you with the feelings of some of your constituents. This council passed an ordinance last year banning homeless encampments in areas within 500 feet from schools. Unfortunately, there has been little enforcement of that ordinance in the Gateway District, particularly along the railway corridor. For over 60 years, I managed properties at 1st and Church Street and across from the street from the Catholic Church, adjacent to the railway corridor. The various tenants, representing well over 100 people, are pleading for help and solutions. They know they are at risk, the city's at risk, and the homeless are at risk. Damage to property and theft is increasing. Public safety is decreasing. The most recent example is the arson fire a few days ago to the building at 7998 Monterey Street by the railroad. Losers talk about what we should have done or what can't be done. We need action now to protect all segments of the town we love. We want a win-win plan that can be enacted very soon. you might have one. If not, we recommend that you select 3 individuals to work together and come up with a plan to adopt, empower, and follow through with. Give these 3 individuals access to information and suggestions from staff, police, city administrator, city attorney, etc. Whatever's needed to get it done. I repeat, if there is a better plan or action that should be done, let us do it now. I and those I represent are here as friends.
The 3 minutes are up.
We are not interested in the blame game.
He can't hear
We
me.
heartily support your proclamation of May, Gilroy's Building Safety Month.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because then
I'm
everybody.
sorry.
That's okay.
What? I don't hear.
I know. You're, yeah.
Oh, it's over?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
You did
gonna
well,
stay for a
though.
minute.
The point was well made.
We support you in
Okay.
achieving that goal and helping achieve citizen and business safety. Thank you from all of us.
All right. Thank you. Michael Harris.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Michael Harris, and I've been a proud resident of Gilroy since 2019 when I relocated my family from Southern California. I'm also a husband. I'm a father of a 10U baseball player here in Gilroy. I'm also the current Little League coach for the Dodgers minors. And because we don't have fall ball here in Gilroy, I'm also a coach in the only program available in Morgan Hill. It's that last statement that I want to talk to you guys about today. I'd like to propose an initiative that I believe perfectly aligns with the vision you outlined in your State of Gilroy address. In your speech, you passionately advocated for initiatives that bring dollars to Gilroy, as well as enhance the overall well-being of our beloved city. So, I'm requesting the backing, support, and resources from the city to help promote the expansion of fall baseball for our Gilroy youth to complement our spring baseball program. I am pleased to tell you that we have taken proactive steps with the Gilroy Little League, the board. We put a proposal together, and we feel like it's probably going to move forward. But we do believe that with the addition of your support and assistance would have much needed traction in getting this initiative off the ground. Here are just a few highlights of the benefits of a program for fall ball. Fall baseball is a program that's focused on skills development. It's less focused on winning and losing. It promotes fun learning experience for the kids, new coaches, as well as new board members who've joined the board. It also keeps the commitment light since there's only 1 game per week on a Saturday. Again, currently the only program available in fall is going to be in Morgan Hill. Let's talk about the dollars for Gilroy. Since residents from here have to travel to Morgan Hill, games are on Saturdays, I can speak from experience that after the game, we start running errands. We go to the eateries. We spend our money in Gilroy. We spend our money in Morgan Hill. And this is revenue dollars that could be brought back to Gilroy for places like, in your speech, the Rack, Pops, Rosie's Protein Bar, the Big Five locally, and especially our In-N-Out here in Gilroy versus the one in Morgan Hill. Additionally, we recognize the opportunity for at-risk families who may be in need of these activities. While our Parks and Recreations Department does an admirable job, we do believe that fall baseball here in Gilroy would further enhance the array of options for those available for those residents, especially those who are unable to travel to Gilroy or to Morgan Hill. Madam Mayor, I respectfully request your support for fall baseball program as a key component to our city's vision for the future. By standing behind this initiative, we can send a powerful message about Gilroy's dedication and the well-being for the development of the residents.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, William. Oh, can I appreciate everybody thinks clapping is nice, but really not supposed to do that because it could be intimidating to a speaker who has a different point of view. Sorry. Okay.
I have
William
the same
Owen?
point of view as the last speaker.
Okay.
So,
Go ahead then.
my name is William Owen. I am a resident of Gilroy. I grew up here. My family moved here in 1976. Been a graduate of Gilroy High. Went to Gavilan College. Volunteer in many various things throughout my tenure here. Moved away, went to college, came back, and brought my family. And we've been here since 2008. And we love it here. The one thing we are missing is fall baseball. I'm speaking on behalf of many other parents that do not want to travel to Morgan Hill. Morgan Hill people are not smarter than Gilroy. Gilroyans are much better, in my opinion, humble opinion. I love this town, I love this community, but we are missing that. How many of you, just by a show of hands, have ever played baseball or softball? Show of hands, just real quick. Baseball or softball. How many of you know someone that plays baseball, Little League? You do. Let's keep this here in our community. I don't want to give my money to Morgan Hill. I want to give it to the small business owners here that deserve it. And with your help and support with the Gilroy Little League board and helping them provide that fall baseball, it'll keep people here. It'll bring new youth to a sport that they've never experienced before. But we need your help with that. So while learning the fundamentals of playing baseball, Little League believes in the power of youth baseball and softball to teach life lessons that build stronger individual and communities. Again, Morgan Hill has both spring and fall baseball. Pony League established in 1974 for Morgan Hill. Gilroy baseball since 1959. They get it. We do too. But we need your help. So I encourage you, I implore you to please help the Gilroy Little League Association establish that fall ball here. So I appreciate your time. I want to proudly wear this right here. This represents Gilroy.
Okay.
G for Gilroy. I do not want to wear this anymore. This represents This represents Morgan Hill.
Okay.
I do not want to do this anymore. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So I got 42 seconds. I'd love to give it back to you.
You can.
But with that said, I thank you for your time and look forward to seeing what you can do to help. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Irene Garcia, followed by Kristen Brown, followed by Paul Brown.
Hola, buenas tardes. My name is Irene Garcia. I am a community member here in Gilroy. Been here for about a year. I had an incident that happened to me, and I need to address it because it involved the police department. I had someone tap into all of my credit cards and my computer. So I came here in guidance of one of my friends to come and make a police report. I waited in your lobby for over 3 hours to be seen by a police officer. I thought that was awful. Not only that, there was people coming in who are Hispanic, did not speak English. The receptionist didn't speak Spanish, and they were having a hard time communicating. So I stepped in for them. A couple of them missed work because they had to come and take care of their business. And they couldn't do it because nobody was there. Now that's awful. These people are hard workers. They don't deserve that. I didn't deserve that. People sitting on the floor. I mean, it's a beautiful building. I can't deny that. But you need to have more chairs there for people. So my thing is, let's get it together here, Gilroy, and get somebody who can help the community. I even offered to come. I'll sit there in that desk for $10 an hour. No benefits. I can help the people. I'm really great at phones, but we need to do something. This was just terrible for me, and it was terrible for them. And I was glad that I was there to help them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kristen Brown.
Good evening, City Council members. I'm Kristen Brown. This is my daughter, Madison Brown, and I'm here to just let you know that an incident happened to us last Thursday on May 2nd, and we were on our way to school, taking her to school. We were coming up to the intersection on 6th Street and Monterey Road. I had the green light. I was coming up to it, and we noticed a guy, hoodie up, dark jeans. He starts walking normal, like across the street, so I slow down, stop for him. And then he just comes at us, wanting to fight us through my windshield, goes onto the side of my daughter, who's screaming, hitting the lock button. Oh my God, Mom, he's coming for me. Screaming, and I'm looking up going, where am I going to go to get away from this guy? So I swerve around, I look up, and it's now a red light. My whole thing is these people that are unpredictable, they're walking around my daughter's school, they're walking around downtown. It doesn't make me feel safe. I've been here 8 years. I've never had a problem until last week. Really, I'm on edge. This is my heart. And this man came after my daughter. And that made me feel very vulnerable and scared. And she had to go to school feeling that way. And she came home and told me that he was trying to get into the car. So I didn't even know that part. I thought he was just checking her, like in the window. But, he tried to get in, and she was hitting the lock button, thank God. But I'm just saying, thank God nothing else happened. We didn't get T-boned from someone not paying attention at their light. I didn't get rear-ended. Nobody seemed to be around, which was odd because it's 8 o'clock. There's a lot of traffic going to school that direction with students around. But it was really upsetting. My husband was upset by it. I went down to the police station and talked to a really wonderful police officer, and he heard my concerns, and his hands are tied. There's only so much you guys can do. I understand, but I feel like as a mother, as a citizen here, I pay my taxes, I do the things I'm supposed to do, and I shouldn't feel scared to take my daughter to school or walk around downtown, period. That's just my perspective on it, but I am grateful for the cops, the police. I'm grateful for all that they have to do, and I understand it starts from here. It's not coming. It's a bigger problem than just our little city, but it's coming into our city. It's very noticeable. So that being said, thank you for your time, and I just hope that I feel more police going around the schools and around Monterey Road in the mornings and the afternoons. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Brown, and then Robert Butler.
Madam Mayor and City Council, thank you for your time. I come this evening in support of my wife, but also to discuss kind of the bigger picture item that we had discussed with you folks before, and I appreciate what you've done. And maybe you remember a couple of years back, and we did come and speak about the homeless encampments around the school, and that was a big boulder that I don't have the power, authority, ability to move, and you folks stepped in and really helped out with that. So I appreciate that. But we still stand here today, and our community is under attack by a vicious predator who wants to profiteer off of hurting the men, women, children in this community and all communities throughout America with the drug epidemic that's going on. The drugs flooding into this country, and it's destroying these folks. It's destroying the young man that came and accosted, my wife and daughter. And we spoke on this before. When we're talking about drugs like meth that are synthetically created now, they're very, very cheap. Used to be $22,000 a pound. Now it's $1,000. You have our enemy out there that's fabricating it, making it, and bringing it in our communities that needs even more customers with this product, and it's not the same product. There's been many, many stories of addicts that have recovered, and they had a tenure of 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, still went to jobs, still did the things they needed to do in the community. This product that's being created synthetically has the capability to wipe you out in months. I'm talking brain salad, verbal scramble, violent episodes, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that here. And I believe it starts with us, starts with the citizens in our cities and our towns and our councils and our law enforcement. And our voices need to be heard. It needs to go to the county. It needs to go to the state level. It needs to go to the Fed level. I think your voice is our voice, and we're all in this together. We're frustrated. We know that you're frustrated, and I think the people in general in Gilroy are frustrated. We don't want adversaries. The adversaries out there is sending in the products that are harming our kids. And the complacency on the drug war is beyond me. I think we need to get back to reality. We need to be able to have tools and weapons at your disposal to prosecute these crimes, to help these people. Turning a blind eye and giving them a tent is not helping them. It's not humane. And I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but there's so much pressure against you folks with the advocacy groups and everything else going on there. It's not working. We need to mesh together as community and folks from healthcare, law enforcement, the city, and the advocacy groups and find a solution for these people that are being attacked. So that's what I have to say, except for I really appreciate all of your time, commitment, and devotion to this city. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Robert Butler, I think is our, we ended up with more. Okay, Robert Butler, and then David and Rigo after that.
Well, I was going to recap that we need to get baseball here and we need to do something about the homeless problem. But that's not what I'm here to do. I'm going to kind of cheer things up. I'm introducing myself to you guys so that you can use me and that you can support the things that I'm doing here in the community. I'm Robert Butler. I'm a husband of 42 years. I'm a father of 40 years and a grandfather of 9. I moved from Chicago to Gilroy in 1984. I've been Gilroy Unified School District math instructor there. I was a South Valley Junior High School teacher where Martin Beltran was one of my students, and that was so funny to see him retiring. So I've been part of the Gilroy Parks and Rec, and that was in 85 through 87. I started a program called the Silicon Valley Math Institute. I was also part of the Valdez Summer Math Institute. Some people might know about that. I moved my job to Cambrian School District, where I retired there in 2020. I'm a retired teacher of 37 years. I was part of Butler Properties, which was my brother's in Morgan Hill, and I worked as a real estate agent from 88 to 2011. Part of the South Valley Community Church. I started there with 50 members. I was a music director, and I left there with 1,500 members. Part of the community, I was part of the Hot Pursuit Band, the Gilroy Garlic Festival. Like I said, the South Valley Community Church music director. I started a vocal academy here where we were working at the Baptist Church in the summer. I started the Gilroy Gospel Music Festival and for 4 years and watched it skyrocket until we couldn't handle it anymore. I'm part of now called the Uplift Concerts, and I've done 5 of those. Those concerts are arranged so that I can raise money and give to the homeless and help the homeless problem. Our mayor has been at 2 of them, and to look up and see her support me, that's why I'm here too, because I want to support back. I've been a part of the television commercial, the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce in 1990. Right now, I'm a new member of the board member of the Gilroy Center for Arts. So I'm a part of that now too, where I'm starting a drama program for kids from the age of 8 to 12, something like that. I've done West Side Story, The Wiz, Wizard of Oz, Poor Get Best. I've done a lot of things, and I'm ready to give back to the community. I heard something about a grant last time I was here that I might get help use in the Gilroy arts, so I'm going to be doing that. I want to leave this on a high tone that it's great being a part of this community. I moved from Chicago, and the 24-hour, and I came here, and everything closed at 9 o'clock. I had to readjust my whole life here, and I raised my kids here. My grandkids are here. This is the best place in the world for me. And so I'm here to help, and that's why I introduced myself to all of you. I was supposed to mention my neighbor who told me to get here. Okay.
Wow. All right, thank you. All right, David Basad, is it? Yeah. Okay. And then Rigo, and then Trinity.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the council. My name is David Bezot. My wife and I own a business named California Auto Network, located at 7998 Monterey Street in Gilroy. My business is the building that burned down last week. We opened our business in April 2017. When we started our business, we had to make improvements to our storefronts to attract more customers. We have never had any issues with any of our businesses next to us and have always paid our taxes, fees, dues. Since we started our business, we have spent thousands of dollars on improvements. As a business owner in city, I believe businesses that care about what they offer add to the quality of the city and help the economic growth and generate more revenue. Since we opened our doors, we have had ongoing issues that we have reported to our Gilroy Police Department 15 times. Trespassers cutting holes in our rear side fence, stealing gasoline, making holes in the gas tank, making it unsafe for everyone, scratching our cars, breaking into and sleeping in our vehicles. In one case, I faced a trespasser that attacked me with a carpet cutter and a hammer. I reported this incident to the police department. And my wife doesn't feel safe when I'm not there to be alone. Every time we have problem, we could not open our business in the morning. Instead, we have had to submit a report to police department, clean up our site, replace the stolen items, which also cost us thousands of dollars over the last few years. Sometimes we could not open our doors for business for days. We had worked with a professional consultant to enhance our security. We have spent a lot of money on additional fences, lights, cameras, and security system. I have copies of all the reports filed with the police department. Unfortunately, I cannot file claims with my insurance because my business then get labeled as high risk. My wife and I have worked too hard and have established a customer base we are very proud of. We intend to keep our business in Gilroy and have no intention of closing. Unfortunately, at this rate, we are being forced to go out of business.
Your time, I'm sorry.
No problem.
The time.
Sure.
Thank-
Please save our business. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rigo, Gallardo, and Trinity following.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Rigo Gallardo. I'm a field rep for the NorCal Carpenters based out of Local 405 in San Jose. And as we gather here during Building Safety Month, I am compelled to address a crucial aspect of ensuring the safety and the well-being of our community. When embarking in any construction project, it is imperative that we prioritize safety at every step of the way. And one key component of ensuring safety is selecting contractors with a proven track record for responsibility and ethical conduct. We must ask ourselves, wouldn't it be in the best interest of our community to entrust projects to contractors who prioritize safety and responsibility? A contractor who upholds high standards regardless of location, ensuring that the work environment is safe for every worker involved. What defines a responsible contractor, it's one who not only adheres to safety regulations, but goes above and beyond by providing health care benefits to its workforce. It's a contractor who invests in the future of the industry by hiring from accredited apprenticeship programs, ensuring that workers receive proper training and education to carry out their duties safely and efficiently. Choosing such contractors isn't just about fulfilling a legal obligation. It's about safeguarding the lives and well-being of those who will be working on these projects and those who will eventually inhabit the structures they build. As we embark on new developments in Gilroy, let us commit to getting it right. Let us prioritize the selection of contractors who embody the values of safety, responsibility, and ethical conduct. By doing so, we not only ensure the success of the projects, but also uphold the integrity of our community and the welfare of its residents. Thank you for your attention. In this matter, I urge you to consider these principles as you make decisions that will shape the future of Gilroy. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Trinity, followed by Elizabeth.
Is this close enough?
Yep.
Cool. I'm Trinity. I am new to Gilroy. I've been here 3 months. I'm staying for several reasons. Gilroy Strong is something that I admire. I'm sorry. I've been 3 months off of my meds. The problem I have is that there seems to be a gap in filling out forms, checking the right boxes, saying the right words, and getting care. That's, I'm from Portland. I know it's all a lot of the same level with Medicaid specifically, with arbitrary differences in how the care and who sees who and who has to go to another town to, even fill out the right forms. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to say that I am grateful to be here. I am currently homeless. You can find me trespassing behind Walmart. That's where I've been for the last 3 months. I haven't gotten, I'm sorry, my medical prescriptions transferred down. I had them transferred on my chart to hospital, but because I don't have Medi-Cal, I have Oregon Health Plan. That's what stopped me from obtaining care. I don't have an EBT card, so I don't use any kind of state money for that, anything. I filled out that form too. I even waived the general assistance form. You can see me recycling every day because I'm not, I don't steal. I'll eat out of the dumpster before I take from the store. So we just need to make things work a little better for everybody. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Elizabeth Bertoloni.
Hello, good evening, everybody. So forgive me if I'm a little bit nervous and I don't always speak eloquently or say the right things, but I'm going to try. So I've been here my entire life. I've been born and raised in Gilroy. Mr. Gray is actually my landlord. He's the most awesome landlord in the world. My biggest problem here is actually David is one of my friends. I've known him since he opened his dealership. I also own a car dealership in Gilroy. We have had the same problems. Siphoning gas, scratching our cars. I literally have profanities scribbled into 3 or 4 of my cars because I kicked the homeless off of my property constantly. I've had them attack my dad. My dad's 88 years old, and he's not the strong 88-year-old that Mr. Grays is. He doesn't have a loud, booming voice. He's just this little old man that's about this tall and has dementia, and we have people coming in there ripping money out of his hands. One of my good friends, Gina from Pinocchio's, I know you guys all know what happened with her dad, got stabbed. This is all happening all around us. And I know that a lot of times, I know some of you know me, I can be completely crass and completely rude and I just don't believe in sugarcoating anything. And everything that's happening in Gilroy, another gentleman said, why are we taking all our money to Morgan Hill? Because it's nicer there. It's prettier there. It's cleaner there. I went to get my nails done, and I had to deal with 6 homeless people sitting outside the nail salon asking me for money. I had my 7-year-old daughter with me. She was scared. I had to hide her behind me. She's like, why do they keep walking up to us? It's not fun. We go out to eat. We have people crowding the restaurant, sitting outside, asking for money. I said, are you hungry? Can I get you something to eat? No. Then why are you here? Like, why are you sitting right here? And then we have, same with David. I can't get insurance anymore because I've reported so many cars. I can't even move my cars. We go around, we turn all the cars on so that we can move them. Boom, boom, boom. I come back to a car, it's gone. I call the police. They're mad at me because I keep calling them over. And they're saying, well, why'd you leave the keys in the car? Well, sir, they're not supposed to be stealing cars. It's not something like, why did I leave the keys in the car? How about why did they steal the car? Like, I can't be held responsible for other people's actions. Hold them responsible for that. I shouldn't have to worry about leaving a car for 5 seconds and someone stealing it. I can't get insurance. I haven't had insurance since January because no one will take me because of things like this. There's Lana's dance studio. My daughter used to do ballet. I left there. I went to Morgan Hill. Why? Because in front of Lana's, there's people doing drugs outside of the dance studio. These are children. I don't want my kids seeing that. Forgive me. Los Animas Park, total dump. It's disgusting. I don't want to go there.
Time.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ron Kirkish.
Good evening, Mayor, community, City Council. Tonight, I want to talk about Plan Bay Area 2050 that Councilman Hilton is advocating for. And if I have time left, I want to respond to some of the comments made by the ladies from the AAUW that spoke a few weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago. We have, for the Plan Bay Area 2050, the agenda item I want to speak about tonight is on the environmental strategies and focusing on adapt to sea level rise. The plan is to give $19 billion for this process, for this program. But what is that program going to do? It's to affect any sea level rise. And what they're saying is by 2050, they expect the sea level in our area to rise 2 feet. But they've been making these kind of predictions for over 30, 40 years. 54 predictions, as a matter of fact, over this time frame. How many have come to fruition? 0. And so they want to spend $19 billion of your tax money to the community to affect a 2-foot rise in the sea level. This is not practical. It's nonsensical. And we shouldn't have anybody up there advocating for this. In regards to the comments made by the AAUW women, I went out and I spoke to the co-owner of the grass farm. And he was nice enough to send me some information, which I won't speak to tonight, but I gave every one of you a copy of it via the city clerk. And it shows that a lot of the comments, some of the comments that they said about you got to rip up your green grass, and I better hurry up. Green grass and plant tomatoes. That's nonsense. The biggest thing is there's several people that have said that we need to, well, I'll tell you what, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll bring this up next time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all, everybody who came to speak tonight. Okay, item 5 is reports by council members, starting with Councilmember Bracco, Councilmember Armendariz,
And no meeting since last time.
Councilmember Marks.
Yes, Gilroy Gardens had a board meeting last week. At the last Gilroy Gardens board meeting, the general manager stated that the new ticket pricing strategy is working by including free parking for spring and summer in the value ticket where customers are purchasing. Everyone in the theme park industry this past first quarter showed a decline due to the weather, while Gilroy Gardens only showed a slight decline. Second quarter looks very optimistic. Under operations, all the rides were inspected and cleared. For staffing, the park is 105% staffed with a waiting list of 250 students hoping for a job. The upcoming events, Cinco de Mayo celebration was this past Sunday. Water Oasis opens on May 11th. Mother's Day Tea Party is on May 12th. Lakeside Splash opens on Memorial Day due to all the rainy days that kept construction crews from completing the project earlier. On May 13th, next Monday night, there will be a study session between the City Council and Gilroy Gardens Board, with the Gilroy Gardens Board doing a 30-minute presentation on the garden's goals and accomplishments. Please join us here in the Council chambers at 6 o'clock or watch it online if you'd like to know more about the gardens. Thank you.
Councilmember Hilton.
Thank you. From the Valley Transportation Authority Policy Advisory Committee, the Santa Clara County Valley Transportation Authority held their Transit-Oriented Communities Grant Workshop at the Gilroy Library last week. They are seeking proposals from the Santa Clara municipalities, jurisdictions, arts, cultural, education, nonprofit, and other community organizations to support VTA's vision of equitable transit-oriented communities. The goal is to grow innovative and robust partnerships between VTA and local public agencies, nonprofit, community organizations, and other diverse stakeholders to strengthen communities, increase transit ridership, reduce the need for car trips, and support intensive mixed-use, mixed-income development around light rail station and transit hubs. Selected projects will be collaborative across community and/or local government partners and remove barriers to create safe, walkable, healthy, resilient, and thriving neighborhoods next to transit. VTA will fund $750,000 in total eligible to applicants. From Silicon Valley Clean Energy in late 2023, SVC launched complementary programs to help member agencies sensibly expand the decarbonization of local buildings and prepare for upcoming rules that will limit the sale of gas appliances. Staff has met with most member agencies in one-on-one discussions to review the core technical assistance available and develop customized plans that meet the unique needs and goals of each jurisdiction. I attended the California Community Choice, CalCCA, which represents the interests of community choice electricity providers like SVC, with fellow board members, electeds, and staffers from SVC and other community choice energy providers from around California for some great training, education, and professional development. And lastly, in Gilroy, bicycles are essential transportation for those who need to get around. This might include traveling to your job, errands, or taking the kids to school. We are connecting Gilroy residents who have an extra bicycle to residents who need one. We are still looking for bikes to be donated. Please check those side yards and garages for bikes in working condition, and we will get it matched with someone who needs one. We have made 190 matches since launching. All the details are online by searching Gilroy Bike Match. And on Thursday, May 16th, there will be 3 bike energizer stations in Gilroy to support Bike to Work Day. My office will be hosting one of them at the Gilroy Transit Center from 5:30 to 8:30 in the morning. And happy Bike Month and happy Affordable Housing Month.
Councilmember Klein.
No report.
Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. I want to congratulate the over 400 students throughout Santa Clara County. This past Sunday, we hosted a recognition for over 400 African-American students who are succeeding in academics. Santa Clara County Office of Education, the Alliance of Black Educators, and us at Santa Clara University hosted that event in hopes to help these individuals graduate from college, high school, and then go on to college. So I just want to thank those, or congratulate those individuals. I also want to congratulate GECA for being awarded a 2024 California Distinguished School by the California State Superintendent, so congratulations to them. I want to thank the Gilroy School Board for considering my idea of applying for the COPS grant that would help fund additional SROs. They had a discussion last Monday, and fortunately didn't pass, but I appreciate the work that they did in researching that and having that discussion, so I thank them for that. And then finally, I just want to wish my dad a happy birthday. That's it.
Okay. Last Monday was the State of the City address. If anyone did not see it, you can watch it recorded. It's on the city's YouTube channel and on the website, 2024 State of the City. Caltrain ridership from Gilroy since the addition of the 4th train is up by 38%. I shared that at the State of the City. I want to share that here now because so much work goes into getting transit service that comes all the way down here to Gilroy, and this is just a really great way to show that people will ride. If you bring it, they will use it. Southbound ridership coming home isn't quite as high. Caltrain's still working on figuring that out. I have my own ideas because they changed the scheduling quite a bit for coming home. But 38% increase for ridership going north, which is 12 percentage points higher than the ridership increase over the same period system-wide. So even more in here. So that is really great news. Caltrain will have a station at the Bike to Work Community Day kind of thing that's happening that Councilmember Hilton was mentioning. That's on May 16th, early in the morning. They will be at the Transit Center. I will be at their table trying to celebrate that day with Caltrain. Lastly, the VTA board also met, and the only thing I really feel the need to share about that is the update on SB 1031. I've been trying to share with everybody where that's going, and both Caltrain and VTA took positions of oppose. The prior position was oppose unless amended. Now it's flat out oppose. So we'll see where that goes. That's the large 9 Bay Area county measure that they're trying to put on the 2026 ballot to improve transportation. But the issue is, how is it going to benefit Santa Clara County when you get it all? So we'll see where that goes. Okay, that brings us to the consent calendar. Do we have anybody wanting to speak on items on consent?
No, we do not.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Then I'll close public comment, and we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, seconded by Councilmember Marks. Is this a roll call vote?
We will. It is up on your screens, but I don't know if it's showing correctly.
Okay.
But we can do roll call.
Sure. Let's just do that.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
Mayor Blankley?
Yes. All right. That passed unanimously. Okay. That brings us to unfinished business, but the most exciting part, I think, of tonight's agenda, which is the preliminary design renderings of the proposed Gilroy Ice Center, or Sharks Ice. So we're going to all get to see pictures of what that conceptually will look like. So Jimmy, go ahead and show us.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. This is something that's been in the making for quite a few years, and so we're very excited tonight to share it with you. I want to introduce a couple of people before we get started. I want to thank Chris Shea, who is part of this Sharks team. He is the Senior Vice President for Governmental Affairs, and he is here because apparently a Justin Timberlake concert is going on tonight at SAP Center, and we couldn't get Jonathan Becker or John Gustafson here because I don't know if they're big Timberlake fans or not, but they had work to do. And then I'd like to introduce Carl Biarchi, who is the city's project manager for this massive project that we're about to talk about. They'll both here to answer questions. We're here to more look at the design, so kind of the more technical, like what color is the bathroom going to be. We're not really going to be able to answer that tonight, but we're taking a very high level of this project and giving you and the public their first idea of what this thing is going to look like. If you recall, if you've been around for a few years, this was actually the original focus of the Economic Development Partnership many years ago that wanted to engage with some of our community partners in San Jose, also the owners of Cordoval, who were also community members, and come up with an idea that maybe an ice rink in Gilroy would be a good idea. So the inertia for this project was actually the Economic Development Partnership many years ago, and it was one of the 3 economic development initiatives that the council approved, and Gilroy as a recreation destination. So those all are tying together. The other 2 initiatives were Gourmet Alley, which is under construction, and the 536 acres at Gilroy Gardens, which is still in discussion. Initial discussion at the policy level was about 5 years ago, so these projects do take a while. And then the term sheet that the council approved that agreed to with the Sharks representatives included 100,000 square foot facility, NHL size, 2 ice rinks, 387 parking spots, and after-school programs, including free admission, regardless of economic status. Again, wanting to get kids on the ice, whether they can afford it or not, to get them exposed to the great game of hockey and ice skating. Another big milestone for us as a city was getting the Gilroy voters to approve a 2022 charter amendment for design build, and we're going to see the benefits of that charter amendment now as we're able to move quite quickly from this concept of design onto actually getting the ground dug into and starting going vertical. And so, lastly, the design was recently completed, and that's what we're here for tonight. I wanted to share with you the design principles that were created by the Sharks team, our team, and the architect. And this is helping guide how they make decisions, how they decide what this thing would look like. And first is create an ice haven within a sports park for recreation in Gilroy. Second is become a destination. This should be a destination building and a reason to get off Route 101 and Monterey Highway to create a place that is unique, valuable, and dynamic. Collapse interior and exterior between audience, players, practice, performance, and users and the public. Provide non-traditional ways of gathering. You think of a hockey rink, you think of a big sheet of ice, but there's actually so much more play. You don't even have to be there to enjoy the ice. You may want to be there just to be part of the community, because it is really a community center, just specifically for ice. Prioritize activities first. Experiences, practice, recreation, and leagues that are already underway in other areas will now migrate to here, as there's a more demand for ice time than there is actually ice. And so this certainly fills not only a recreation need, but an economic need as well. Bolster the interplay between activities. That means celebrate the sports park dynamic. And I'm going to show you some pictures, too, about how this whole rink envisions phases of the sports park master plan, adopted many years ago and just recently updated a few years ago. And then capitalize on the site. One thing that helps Gilroy is that we are one of the few communities in Santa Clara County that have land. And although this land is not actually in the city, it is owned by the city's taxpayers, and so we have an opportunity to utilize it. But again, land provides opportunity, and as you see with that sports park, there's lots of opportunity out there. Provide a superior value. Prioritize a high level of spectator and user enjoyment for all of the venues. And then the last concept is total cost of ownership, and that is to prioritize sustainability, budget, scope, schedule, ease of management and operations, and total cost of ownership. So really looking long-term over the life of a building, 30, 40, 50 years, what do you invest in today that will continue to give good value going forward, just not what's cheapest right now. Buildings that are not well built are hard to maintain and expensive to maintain. So a lot of value in what you're purchasing. Okay, so I'm going to switch in and out of this PowerPoint because that's the best way to zoom so you don't lose. So this is, if you remember, this is the sports park master plan. And I'm going to go out of it and zoom in so you can see what part of the park this is in. If you are familiar, this is over here at Monterey Road, and then Uvis Creek is down here. And then the actual ice rink in the master plan is in the southern portion, almost the southeast portion of the sports park. Up here is the existing fields, and those are all baseball fields right now. So there are only two phases that have been completed at the sports park, and this arena is phase 3. So you can see how it's situated here with the additional parking. And then future phases would include more parking, more sports fields, but those are phases 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, much further down the road. And so that's the site. Closer in, kind of more of the same. Okay, so this is the high-level initial concept of the inside of the building, and this is what they call the event-level plan. That's really the first floor. And so that's the 2 sheets of ice, and I'm going to be able to show you here kind of some more of the details. But rink 1, rink 2. Any numbers you see in here is the square footage. So if you see 17,270, that's 2 square feet. And so you'll see that in bathrooms that are only 30 square feet or what have you. But the lower level is about 65,000 square feet, and the upper level, which I'll show you in just a second, is only 15,000 because you have open air for most of that part of the property. The mezzanine plan is this, again, the second floor has the middle section, open air, and then the concepts there. Okay, so now I showed you the 2 levels. Now you can see the specifics of what those levels incorporate. So the event level, like when you come into the lobby, this is the first floor, and then you can enter on the vestibules on this side. Okay, so regardless of which way you come in, you're going to walk through the circulation area like a lobby per se. And there's a check-in area, and then the amenities starting from all the way on the left at the top left-hand corner. I can zoom in on that just a little bit more too. Make it a little easier to see. Okay, there you go. That should be a little better. Okay, so this is the first floor as you walk in. So you walk in here where my arrow is. And on the left side are 2 conference rooms. You have an adult restroom, IT electrical, skate rental area. You have an elevator for ADA access to the upper level. You have a small kind of grab and go is prepackaged items. You just grab it, you go. You don't have to wait in line. It doesn't have to be prepared. And then to the center of that vestibule, or the circulation area, is a cafe. And so that's about 927 square feet. And going on down, you have 2 WC's water closet. I don't know why they don't use bathroom, but it's a water closet. That's what they call it. And then the largest component in this area is the actual retail area. So as you notice, there's a lot of ancillary ways to generate revenue with this facility. It's not just about putting skates on and being on the ice. You have retail, you have food, drink, all those experiences that help, again, increase your revenues. So going up to the mezzanine level, as again, this is mostly open to below. There is a fitness center on the left, 1,300 square feet fitness center. Then you have storage, and you have another water closet. This is open to below. And then you have a third conference room on the second level, and then retail below. Okay. All right. The last thing I wanted to show you here is the upper deck, or what they call the mezzanine. And I already talked about what all these are here. Now, this is where, if you don't want to have fun on the ice, you can have fun upstairs, because this is the bar and restaurant. And the neat thing about this is that you can be in this food and beverage area, which is 3,800 square feet. It's large, and it goes the length of both the rinks, and you have windows on both sides. So you can actually stay in this area and walk back and forth. Maybe you have 2 things going on. You have public skate on one side, you have a hockey game on the other side. You can actually be in the upper mezzanine level and get food and beverage and a place to sit and a place to enjoy the entire arena from one point of view. If you've ever been to San Jose, very similar. They have that upper area with the bar and restaurant, and you can look out over the ice. It's really quite part of an experience, even if you're not able to experience what's going on in the ice. And then in the back here is where the offices are. So as you can see, quite the facility site. Okay, so what is this thing going to look like from the outside? I'm going to show you. Okay. Now, you would have been much better to have an architect or even John Gustafson explain this to you. Instead, you have a finance guy who is now city administrator, but I'm going to do my best. And so this is the actual entrance, the vestibules, and what the concept is for it to be outside. As you can see, it's kind of surrounded by this metal that allows you to get the light from outside, but also helps keep the building cool and gives it a little bit of architectural value. If you've ever been in some really bland hockey rinks, some of them are just brick and mortar squares, and I've been in some of those. That's certainly not the concept here, but also knowing that you want money in the product and the building itself, and you're not trying to make a very large architectural statement, but in the end, this is still a very, very nice building. Another angle from the side. This is a really nice view. So as I told you, back here is Uvis Creek, all the way or all along, and this soccer field on the side is concept for the expansion in another phase. Softball, baseball, soccer, what have you. But this is the aerial. You see the Sharks logo. You see the name Gilroy. So most likely all nomenclature would be Gilroy and the Sharks at some place. Okay. So again, these are some of the finishes and colors. These are all concepts right now, but you can see a lot of the glass that allows the natural daylight to come in. You can see the mountains in the back. You see all these people walking in, and then another variation on this is blue. So you really have some choices here, and these are things that will get final decided as they get closer to finishing the project. Okay. So that is the overall concept, and so now I'm going to give you a little bit of update on the timeline and the next steps in the project. There's already construction underway from the city side, or I'm sorry, not construction, but planning. Council has approved the installation of the signal improvements on the Monterey frontage road and traffic flow improvements that would have had to occur at some point in the phasing in of the Gilroy Sports Park. So again, this is going to trigger because of the significant amount of traffic increase, 380 new parking spots on the facility as well. So those roads really need to be updated. And so now that we have the design completed, now we're going to prepare to go to the construction bids, which is quite the challenge right now. So preparation of the design build package. So there'll be a request for qualification process that allows the city and the Sharks to decide on who's the best construction company to design and build and do all this in one fell swoop. That'll come to council at some point later this year. And then we will also at that time come back with a financing plan. When we started this process 5 years ago, the market was certainly more different, but we really don't know what we're going to get until we go out and get bids. And that process will come before council as evaluation of bids and then construction bid award. The other side of this is the architectural site approval process. We do have to do some environmental analysis just to make sure we're still in adherence with the original master plan, and then the permitting process as such will take some time. Overall construction, 12 to 18 months, and the Sharks right now are projecting completion in fall of 2023. So I'm sorry, 2026. 2026. So that concludes my report. As I said, Chris Shea and Carl Biarchi are here to help. I'll do the best I can, but I'll defer to them on some of the questions.
All right. Thank you. It's great for all of us to finally see how this is taking shape. I'd like to go to public comment first, if that's okay. Do we have any members of the public wanting to speak?
Yeah, there are two.
There are two. Okay. Do you want to call them since there we go. Is it Palemon? Palemon? Okay. And then Eli.
Good evening, Mayor Blankley, council members, and city staff. Clerks. Thank you. I want to first thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand here before you guys and speak. My name is Palemon Frausto. I am a union carpenter from Local 405 in San Jose. We're proudly serving Santa Clara and San Benito counties. And I've been a proud Gilroy resident all my life. I was born and raised here. I went to Glenview, Brownell, graduated from Gilroy High. So I'm a lifer to this town. If someone would have told me that I'd be doing this about 10 years ago, I'd probably think they were crazy. And the opportunity this organization has been able to give me is life-changing for me and for my family as well. By implementing labor standards, we can ensure that workers can also be present at home and in their communities. In the 10 years that I've been in the trade, never have I worked in my hometown. I've always had to drive up north to the city, to Oakland, to San Jose. And having this opportunity to help our community earn a decent livable wage and health care for all workers provided by a responsible contractor that does the right thing all the time, even when no one's looking. The Gilroy Ice Center project would greatly benefit our community by providing good paying jobs to local construction workers who come from this very community, the same community here. I was a part of the Sharks ice rink off of 10th and Alma, and I was there during construction and after we turned over the keys too. So I can personally tell you that I would see the community. I see a bunch of little kids going in there at 6 a.m. just as we were, ramping up to go to work, and I could tell you that that would greatly benefit this community as well. And it's also providing somewhere for our kids to put their energy and defer them from staying out in the streets and what have you. And also, by putting locals to work. And I believe that that these standards should be a right and not a sacrifice. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Eli Robles?
Good evening, Mayor Blankley and esteemed members of the Gilroy City Council. My name is Eli Robles. I'm a local 405 member also, and also representing local 9144 Drywall Lathers out of San Jose. As Gilroy embarks on a partnership with Sharks Ice, it presents an exciting opportunity for our community. However, it is essential that we approach this project with the utmost care and responsibility, particularly when it comes to selecting a contractor. We must ensure that contractors we choose for this project is one who prioritizes integrity and fairness. It's imperative that we partner with a contractor who will not cut corners at the expense of its workers. This means selecting a contractor who is committed to providing health care benefits and who hires from accredited apprenticeship programs. The well-being of the workers should be paramount in every decision we make. By partnering with a responsible contractor, we can ensure that individuals working hard on this project are treated with dignity and respect they deserve. Let's set the precedent for future collaborations by prioritizing fairness and integrity in our partnerships. By choosing a contractor who does right by its workers, we not only uphold our values as a community, but also set the stage for a successful and sustainable project. Thank you for your attention in this matter, and I urge you to consider these principles as we move forward with the Gilroy Sharks Ice Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane Howard.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm just staring at the photo. As a co-founder of the Gilroy Economic Development Partnership, comprised of 7 economic development partners, and in tandem with Mark Turner, who at that time led Gilroy Chamber. This is amazing to see this. We are just so excited to see, this took a lot of work, on all parts. We bring it to you, you saying, let's go forward, working with the Sharks to get to this state. But just having then this vision of what an economic development punch this is for Gilroy in terms of, not only the tourism side, but employment and just adding another level of what Gilroy has to offer. So I just want to say I'm in the back here cheering right now because it really makes us proud. And all the partners of the Gilroy Economic Development Partnership say thank you. We look forward to what's next.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All right. Closing public comment and bringing to council. Council members, are you lined up to speak?
I have a question, Mayor.
Well, hang on. I've got 2 on the board. Councilmember Armendariz.
Thank you, Mayor. Like Jane just said, this really makes me, it's really exciting, something that our community can be proud of, and somewhere where our kids and families can recreate and indulge in activities. This looks beautiful. I have a question about the management of, the internal stuff, if Jimmy could answer. The bar, the cafe, things like that, will those be run by the Sharks or by the city?
That will be up to the Sharks to find the concessionaire. The city will turn over the entire facility and the operations to the Sharks through a leasing agreement.
Okay. And then tonight, are we discussing the request for qualifications?
No.
That'll be it next time. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Hilton.
Thank you. Thank you, staff, to the report. And like Jane talked about, it's kind of cool being up here and seeing something that you envisioned and talked about a long time ago, and to finally be up here to see it. And thank you for Sharks for partnering with us, and for your labor standards that you have throughout Santa Clara County and especially in San Jose. And thank you to our partners from labor, from the 405. just because this is a prevailing wage project, it does not make it immune to wage theft, misclassification of workers, no health care for workers, or exploitation of the workforce that we build up. And as we move into this next phase, we're going to be opening up our community to risk and low-road business models unless we take on those labor standards. There's many examples of nearby cities, and I would hope that regular inspections by city staff, as you work through this next coming process, can take place to ensure that our tax dollars are protected and none of this occurs. Many times that this gets uncovered of the projects after they're already built, years later. That happened in Monterey. So there's a few things as you guys move on that concern me. Number one, does the contractor utilize apprentices and participate in a state-certified apprenticeship program? Does the general contractor and subcontractors provide and have a history of providing health care for their workforce? Is there a local hire priority? And is there wage theft claims against them? By creating a floor for development that is equitable and protects our workers, we will be able to cultivate a workforce that can thrive and invest back into our community. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I'm not reading off anything. I'm just going off the cusp here. So appreciate the gentlemen or the individuals that are here from 405. I agree. We need to find the right contractor. So thank you for those comments. Going back to kind of the design, we're talking about 100,000 square feet, correct? Many of you recall a few years ago we went out to Irvine to see the Anaheim's Duck build that new facility, which that is 280,000 square feet, right? It has 3 ice rink and mixed use. Looking at future development, I'm trying to understand 100,000 on a scale of 280,000, right? Where they have 3 ice rink with many different other amenities. Can someone explain how? I mean, is that enough space for 2 ice rinks, right? And if we're looking down the road, if there's any discussions about maybe mixed use or how many more rinks we're looking at?
Mr. Tovar, I can't speak to the Irvine project. It is larger. Right. I don't know what seating they incorporated or what their overall purpose is for. This was led by the Sharks, who have operated, renovated, constructed new ice arenas. So I believe if they believe that the 100,000 square feet is adequate, I'm going to trust them because they're also financially on the hook for it. So we are not the experts with ice rinks, but we have to rely on them, and knowing that they're financially backing it, I believe that shows that they have some confidence that it'll work for them.
Okay, good, thank you. And then in regards to the fitness center, is that a public use or is that for employees or players?
Actually, that's the most questions I've been getting about the fitness center. It is open to the public. Right. I don't know the finer details of it, but I imagine there'll be a situation where you probably have to get a key card to check in and use it. You don't want a bunch of little kids up there running around. But I'd really have to defer to the Sharks, and that can be identified when we enter into the lease agreement with them.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Klein.
No, I just would like to piggyback on what's been said. This is exciting times for Gilroy. It's something that's been in the works for a long time. Being part of that process has been fun to watch and fun to be a part of, and now get to see the fruit of it is exciting. And we just are. I know it's great to have an organization, a world-class organization like the Sharks, who are doing this project with us, and it's going to benefit from labor all the way across the board. It's going to make a big impact on this community and I think the surrounding area. So it's an exciting time, and we should all be happy and cheer them on. So thanks.
Councilmember Armendariz, you're on. Oh, yeah. Okay. And Deanne, I'll get
you. Want to go first? I already went.
Okay.
Yes, I just want to commend staff that we're finally at this spot. I think it's been 7-8 years since we first started meeting on this. It's nice to see it come to fruition, and I like what I see.
Thank you. Councilmember Armendariz.
Thank you. Just to piggyback off of what Councilmember Hilton mentioned in terms of protecting our workers and also making sure that we include policies that that include our local workforce, that include our professional workers, those who, like the carpenters, those who come from accredited apprenticeship programs, and make sure that we also include language that will have local hires, right, like local hire policies. And I've seen some really good language that includes a percentage of veterans and folks who are non-traditional workers in the trades, right? So, but again, who come from accredited apprenticeship programs and who have contractors that are responsible, that don't have a history of wage theft or trafficking, things like that, that we've seen in other projects. Our community is small, and we all love it, and we all know the folks who build these things, right? Who build our housing, who build our roads, and who will build this beautiful, treasure in our community. So, I want to make sure that we keep that language in mind as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay, I would just like to say how pleased I am, too, with how this looks. I echo Councilmember Bracco's comments. This has been going on for, I don't know if it's been 8 years, but certainly feels like that. But in 2021 is when it really kicked in, or at least kicked in again for the second time. And so that's how we've managed to get this far. And this is it's going to be a facility that will be fully operated by the Sharks. So we will have a lease for them to operate it. And that's why this is coming really at next to no cost to the city, because they're operating it and they're making the payments on the bond that is going to fund the construction of this. So it's a real win for Gilroy. Very appreciative of this relationship that is really coming to fruition here. We're seeing this come. So does anyone have any questions for Chris while he is here? No? Okay, then Jimmy, is there any more information you need? That was an easy trip for you. I know. Yeah, so thank you. Jimmy, do you have a timeline for when this might come back, or where we go from here?
Well, the next steps is to get ready for bid, get that package together, get cost estimates, and then the council's next role will be in awarding of a construction contract, but that will be later this year at some point.
Okay.
Mayor, I'm sorry. Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
No, again, it's a beautiful design. Thank you for that. And I love the fact that Gilroy's name's on there. On the side buildings, just a thought, if we could maybe put something, welcome to Gilroy, some big mural or something, I think that would be nice, welcoming folks in.
Would you like to, sir?
Honorable Mayor, City Council members, thank you for your time. I'm Chris Shea, Senior Vice President for Government Affairs. I'd like to assure you that John Gustafson is definitely still involved. He was the one message he said is make sure that the council knew that he's still fully invested, will be delivering the buildings. In question associated with artwork, we work extensively with local communities, and we would like to be able to do that where appropriate, but it's certainly driven by the City of Gilroy. So we would certainly like to be able to participate in those conversations. We're very proud in each of the communities we work in to have the name of the city, so we would highly recommend the fact that this showcases Gilroy, and as people come in to visit, spend time in the facility, they know we are in Gilroy. So absolutely, both art and placemaking are important to us.
Thank you.
And I would also add to that this is the city's building. It's owned by the taxpayers, and so if the council wants art on it, it's your building.
Yeah. We have a robust program to do that, and do that with local artists as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
Okay, then we're moving on, right? 7.2. Okay, fiscal year 24-25 Community Development Department Work Plan Update. Sharon? Yep.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the community. We are giving you an update on our community development work plan tonight, following up from the February meeting. It's not nearly as exciting as the Gilroy Ice Center, but we'll get through it quick. All right. In June last year, just for background information, in June last year, the City Council adopted the fiscal year 24-25 operating budget. As part of that process, the work plans for various departments of City were also presented and adopted by the City Council. The department work plans provide a listing of the various projects that the departments are to work on over the 2-year budget cycle. Overall, there were 63 work plan items for departments to work on. That's part of that adoption. And the Community Development Department was assigned 14 of the 63 work plan items with 5 mandated, 6 core, and 3 discretionary items. At the February 26th City Council meeting, staff provided an update on those work plan items. And since the adoption, Council has added 13 Council-initiated agenda items. The Community Development Department received 6 of the 13. The table you see there summarizes the percent of work plan items assigned to our department, and the table also points out that our department is one of the smallest departments with 9% of the citywide full-time positions. And since there's a lot more staff time needed for the work plan items compared to staff capacity, we have to prioritize. Staff has continued using the prioritization criteria that the Council approved within initial work plan development, which is mandated items first, followed by core items, and then by discretionary items. Staff's understanding regarding the added Council-initiated items has been that whenever an item is added, it is to be prioritized, and for as many additional items are added to the workload of the department, an equivalent workload will be removed from the work plan to reflect current workload capacity. At the February 26th Council meeting, staff also shared an update on our department's workload capacity. We currently have some positions vacant. Some of the key positions that are responsible for the higher level work of addressing complex assignments and tasks involve legal and procedural functions. The majority of the Council-initiated items, as well as the original work plan items that are remaining, require this higher level of work. Another important aspect to remember is that just when we have a manager or a senior position filled, it doesn't mean that we can just put all the efforts into the work plan items. Our managers have been doing a lot of the day-to-day frontline work because of the vacant positions across the department. Community Development Department, working alongside with Human Resources, have been working diligently to fill the vacancies. And as we mentioned at that February meeting, development service and code enforcement activities represent the day-to-day operations of our department. We have to prioritize our customers. During this last year, it is worth noting that development activities and service demand have been increasing for our department. So you look at that chart at the bottom left, comparing the same period last fiscal year as 7 months after fiscal year starts, the development-related revenue in fiscal year 23 was $1.78 million versus $2.63 million in fiscal year 24. And revenue represents application and permit fees, which reflects the rising volume and scale of the development projects. In looking at our permit counter in-person customer data, which is that middle chart on this slide there, our analysis showed that there was an increase that totaled to over 1,024 hours of counter in-person service. The increasing number of customers, as well as the length of service time, also indicate the rising volume and the complexity of development applications. In addition, code enforcement activities have been surging. The number of new cases in 2022 was 944, and it had a 76% increase to 1,658 in 2023. So these activities represent the day-to-day operations of the department. And on top of that, for some application types, there are also state-mandated processing and turnaround times that staff must meet. Because development service demand is significantly higher than staff capacity, as vacancies get filled, new staff will need to assist and address development projects and enforcement activities. So for now, our department have to focus on performing the day-to-day activities, prioritize our customers, and implement the mandated programs and policy. And then lastly, address core and discretionary work plan items. This slide just shows that full listing of the 14 adopted items as part of the budget process, plus the 6 additional council-initiated items. And I just want to note that, and I mentioned this at the February meeting as well, the adopted work plan includes several items that were carried over from prior budget cycles. This is what staff presented at the February council meeting. We removed 4 completed and transferred items, so council discussion was focused on these 16 items. And council sought staff sought council direction on the prioritization and identify which of the adopted work plan items will not be worked on until more workload capacity becomes available. At the February meeting, council provided direction, so this list reflects that. Council provided direction to elevate the downtown parklet program, downtown plywood storefront ordinance, and downtown vacancy ordinance, essentially moving these items ahead of other discretionary items besides the two that were already being worked on, which were the smoking prohibition ordinance and the sidewalk vending ordinance. No work plan items were identified to be removed, as some council members expressed desire that staff work on certain items. So this list represents the council direction from February. At the February meeting, council also requested information on the length of time each work plan item would take. In the attachment to the staff report, staff has provided this information via a new column that's called duration. This duration includes creation and implementation. We also added some information that some of them will require ongoing enforcement. Also, this duration represents the need to prioritize customers, development projects, and enforcement activities, which I mentioned are the day-to-day operations of the department, along with implementing mandated programs and policies, and then lastly, addressing the core and discretionary work plan items. In the attachment to the staff report, we also established an estimated completion timeframe for all these items, pending some resources. Among the resources that we're exploring, we're planning to propose creating a building division plan review function during the mid-cycle budget update. Currently, many of our management team members perform the day-to-day frontline activities, including conducting and coordinating plan review. Establishing this plan review team in-house will provide the management team some opportunity to spend time on some of the core and discretionary items. Also, having this in-house plan review function enhances customer service by providing the ability to perform plan review over the counter. This in-house building division plan review function will also serve as a permit navigator for our building permit applicants. Staff will continue to explore other resources to achieve work plan items, and will bring all the details forward as part of the mid-cycle budget update. As I mentioned earlier, the adopted work plan items do include some of these items carried over from prior budget cycles. And with our resource level, we have not been able to finish some of these old work plan items. And yet we have some new state mandates that we have to implement every year. So in today's work plan update, staff has to add a new state mandated program. We're just calling it Develop ADU Pre-Review Plans Program. And as part of the implementation of the housing element that was adopted by council last year, the city did put in an ADU program that will include pre-designed or pre-reviewed plans with the goal to increase ADU production. And we did include the budget for this during the budget adoption cycle. But with the passage of Assembly Bill 1332, we now have to establish this by January 1st, 2025, so by the end of this year. So it's much faster. So staff has to add this new work plan item under the mandated category, And if you're looking at the attachment to the staff report, we numbered the item 15 so that we maintain the original numbering for all the other items. And as I mentioned, we did update some of the estimated completion timeframe, and due to the significant level of development activity and low staffing capacity, the inclusionary housing policy and the zoning code update will have a later estimated completion. I mentioned earlier, as each item gets completed, staff resources will have to transition to the remaining items so that we can continue to move through all of these items as best as we can. And I mentioned in the February meeting also that some of these items are multi-year projects. Not only will they carry over from prior budget cycles, but they also will take several years to complete. And please also know that the estimated completion timing for all the work plan items is based on the assumption that development activity and service demand stabilize, vacant positions are filled with capable staff, and that there's no further staff departure or retirement in the next year. So with these updates, here is the latest list representing the current proposed prioritization. As we mentioned, we started with 14 adopted items, 6 council initiated items, and then 1 new state mandate, so a total of 21. We've either completed, and there are 2 transferred items, so that's in the box in the lower right. So we currently have 15 items, and this maintains council direction from February, just with the new state mandate that's inserted toward the top because it's a state mandate. So for fiscal impact, this item itself has no fiscal impact because it's providing information. And I mentioned earlier the funding to develop that ADU pre-review plans program. We did include that as part of the budget. And the fiscal impact associated with establishing an in-house plan review function and expanding resources, that will be brought forward during the mid-cycle budget update. And our resource level has not kept up with the service demand, work plan needs, and state mandates. As I mentioned, we have all these work plan items carried over from years ago, and we have new state mandates to implement every year. So basically, the demand on our department continues to increase every year, but the capacity hasn't kept pace with it. So if you were to graph demand versus capacity, these 2 lines have been diverging, and they'll continue to diverge unless we try to expand our resources. So staff recommendation is for council to receive the report on the Community Development Department work plan update. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Council members, if anybody would like to speak before I go to public comment, can you go ahead and put your name on the board? Otherwise, I'm going to start with public comment. Okay, closing public comment. And back to council. Councilmember Marks? No, but
You see me
I see you
pushing a
trying.
button,
Yeah.
Sharon, could you explain for the sake of the public why there was a 76% increase in code enforcement cases in 2024?
Well, that was from 2023, and a lot of that was due to the smoking ordinance, the smoking prohibition ordinance, sidewalk vending, and just also a general sense that I think the community is becoming more aware and more proactive in reporting complaints. So it's a combination of all of those things.
Right, and at the downtown committee, you shared the number of complaints that came in for the smoking ordinance. Can you share that again, please, for their sake, for the public's sake?
Yes, let me grab another file. So in 2023, we had 500 interactions. That's part of the new cases out of the 1,658.
Right. And I see where, it's given a discretionary heading. I don't begrudge the smoking ordinance because I hate secondhand smoke as well as everyone else. However, the downtown committee was put together to, work on issues in downtown. And I guess I found it a little disturbing that our plywood removal ordinance and our vacancy ordinance was moved to 2025 when they were actually basically finished by January of 2024. And this is our economic development. And we were put together to really try and make a difference in downtown because every business needs to depend on another business in downtown, as you well know. And when some of the building owners heard about our proposed ordinances, 4 of the 5 buildings that had plywood got finished and the plywood was removed. So they took it seriously. And then the vacancy ordinance, when they heard that they were going to be penalized, because for some of you in the public that don't know this, we have some buildings that have been empty up to 18 years, others 10 years, 8 years, 7. That doesn't help our downtown. Many of those building owners began seeking out companies or other businesses to come and fill their buildings, which was great. It was going to help downtown a lot. Now, when they hear that everything's been put on hold, the steam has run out of their sales. Now there's no sense of urgency. And that is just a real concern for me because, yes, we have the bowling alley, yes, we have Tempo, and the tap rooms, but there's that real worry. And I really want council to think about this. We hired an economic development person. We talk about how excited we are about economic development and getting everything forward and moving our downtown and our city. And then we put off 2 ordinances that should really make a difference. We have 5 council members on that committee. I would really like to see some support and maybe encouragement of saying, what can we do to maybe move the process a little bit along to help downtown and what's going on down there. All the ordinances pretty much went to you, as you and I met, in a pretty good format. So that's my thought. I would like to hear from the rest of the council on how you feel about it.
Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak?
Well, thank you. Thank you, fellow downtown committee members. I'm impressed. Then, Sharon, I have one more question for you. What is being done to fill the vacancies in the department? Is there anything where you're moving ahead to hire people to help with this large number?
Yes, we've been working diligently with human resources, and the next meeting you'll see some new staff being introduced. But like I said, because our development services, the service demand and the enforcement activity have surged so high, when new staff come on board, they do need to assist with all these development activities because we have state-mandated turnaround times to meet as well. So, and we need that to stabilize for a while, before we can really try to put some effort on the work plan items.
All right, thank you.
Have the numbers stabilized? Sorry. Have the numbers stabilized in terms of the sidewalk vendors, things like that?
You mean in terms of complaints?
Complaints and enforcement.
Yeah, I believe so, because we really started, development and ordinance together with council about spring last year, and after we adopted that in September, we've been really pushing on the enforcement efforts. First, it was several days, per week, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and then we continued every weekend for at least about 4 months. And now, we kind of do more random monitoring, but we also, shift our hours so that we're covering either earlier before they set up or, later time frame to try to, look at the different possibilities of enforcement. And we think, that's been, at least I have not gotten complaints, nor has our co-enforcement team.
Okay, I'd like to say something about what Councilmember Marks was saying before. Sharon, could you please put back on the screen the slide that is the current work plan priority? Yes, that one. Because I am one of the 5 on the downtown committee. that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate that there are lots of things that are on your work plan, lots of things on your plate, lots of things on the department, and how to prioritize those things is the big question about everything we do, budgeting and all. So can you explain again what this slide means? When you say current items 15, what exactly are you saying? That all 15 of these items are on your work plan in this order?
Correct. So we've been grouping, we meaning all city staff, been grouping the mandatory items toward the top. And then the second segment is core items. And then the last segment is the discretionary items. Mm-hmm. And based on the council direction in February, the discretionary items have kind of more become a sequence because that was based on the feedback from the council. And so if you look at basically starting with the smoking prohibition ordinance implementation, mm-hmm. that's the start of the discretionary items.
Right.
Because that item and that one has already been worked on. And sidewalk vending, we really consider the main implementation complete, so I moved it into the box in the lower right. And so that makes, that's moving up parklet, plywood, storefront ordinance, and vacancy ordinance.
Okay.
Based on council direction.
Oh, right, but there's no timeline on this slide. So are you saying that these are the items in this order that your department's going to get to within what period of time?
Yeah, so in the attachment to the staff report, that's where we have estimated completion time frame. But that's also kind of pending the resources I mentioned that we'll be bringing forward as part of the mid-budget cycle update.
Right. What I'm trying to get out is what's the expected, how long is it likely to be before we can get to the remaining ordinance things that you wanted to address? That's what I was trying to get at. Maybe you can't answer it.
Yeah, no. So for the plywood storefront ordinance and the vacancy ordinance, we were projecting that at the end of the fiscal budget cycle, which would be June
of next year.
Yeah, that's also, assuming we can get some of the resources that we'll bring back next time.
Because of I understand, because the priority of all the other things there. It's
correct.
Yeah, 2025.
I know, but there's a lot of other.
Well,
yeah. Okay. All right, Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you. Councilmember Martz, I'm impressed that you spoke out. I appreciate that. So, I think, hold on.
Did you just say I spoke out for what?
That you spoke out about this, right? You said that you were impressed that no one's spoken out. So I'm saying I was impressed that you spoke out.
Oh.
Right?
It was a compliment. Okay.
No, it wasn't a compliment to the rest of us. What I'm saying is what would be impressive is, again, Sharon, you're saying that those two in particular, as Councilmember Martz mentioned, kind of the momentum moving forward, and with the outreach that the city says that they do to our businesses, we would know that is a priority, right? Because again, as she stated, obviously, I mean, it's kind of the heartbeat of our downtown is making sure our businesses, are all non-vacant and really functioning. My concern is obviously, the timeline of June of 2025, and as you just stated after that, that's assuming if we have the resources for it, right? So in reality, that might not happen. So what Councilmember Martz is asking for, and obviously I think the Downtown Committee in general, regarding these two ordinances, which I truly can't understand how it takes that long, but again, I don't do the work that you do. My concern is it's not going to happen even by June of 2025. And I guess going back to Carol's comments, what would be impressive to see how we vote on this, because again, it's important that we keep this as a priority. I understand that list will maybe get to all 15, or we might not, right? Where those two in particular might just get dropped off a year from now, saying that we just don't have the resources. So the work that Carol and the committee and everyone else is doing may be for nothing when it comes to that, and that's my concern.
Yeah, staff understands all of council's concerns, and I've been stating that the adopted work plan items already included many items that we inherited from prior budget cycles, not just the immediately prior one, but even the ones before, and just the years of workload items increasing and the many, many state mandates that we have to implement, they continue to, push to the top of the list.
Right.
And that combined with the increasing development activities, and we haven't been keeping pace with that in terms of our resources. As I've mentioned, if your demand keeps going up, but then your capacity has not kept up with it, if you graph these two lines, they'll just continue to diverge farther and farther until we can expand our resources. And if you look at this list, we still have those items carried over from before, and some of these are multi-year projects. So if you look at the matrix in my staff report attachment, we're looking at like 2 to 2.5 years for some of those items. And those are the mandate and core items too. And this is following the council criteria for prioritization. Yeah,
Sure,
so I
sure.
understand. But
Right.
yes.
So, going back to what the mayor asked in regards to timeline, I guess the question for me, in layman's term, obviously, is you're saying possibly by June of 2025. What I want to know is, will this get done by June of 2025? Can we say that it will be done by then?
Well, staff will be bringing back some of the proposed resources during the mid-cycle budget update.
Okay.
And we can continue to explore other options and bring that back as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The last thing I would say on this is the plywood storefront ordinance is, hopefully something that will be able to fit in somehow the vacancy, within the next year, to give you your guarantee that we can't give you, but, that one I think is likely, and maybe even the parklet program. But the vacancy ordinance is one that has to go to the voters, as I understand it. So that's a different, it doesn't go to the voters? Okay, I thought that one had to go to the voters.
Only if we put it in on that a lien.
Right.
And we can sign it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions? All right, then. That brings us to item 8, bids and proposals. We have none. Item 9 is public hearings. It's 8 o'clock. Does anyone need a break, or shall I continue?
Let's go.
Okay. 9.1, conduct a public hearing to approve CDBG program year 2024-25 funding allocations and annual action plan. First, I need to ask, does anyone have any ex parte communications to disclose?
Nope.
Okay. Then Sharon, you're still on.
All right.
Oh, we're taking a break?
Taking a break? Where's everybody going?
Yeah.
We're not, I asked if they wanted a break. The answer was no, but then everybody left anyway. It's like, go ahead, Sharon.
Mayor, I'm going to recuse myself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah? Go ahead.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and members of the committee. So tonight, council will conduct a public hearing to approve funding allocations and the annual action plan for program year 24-25. At the April 8th council meeting, we went over all of this information in detail, so I'm just going to do some highlights tonight. For program year 24-25, we're estimating the HUD formula allocation for Gilroy to be around $400,000. HUD still hasn't released their allocation at this time, so that is still the number we're using for estimation. HUD regulations sets a 15% cap for public services, 20% for program administration. In addition to the annual allocation, staff has identified over 106,000 of unused CDBG prior year's resources where projects came in under budget. Unused prior year's resources must be allocated to non-public services to avoid exceeding the caps. So we talked about that last time, and this table is a summary of available funding and eligible uses. To disperse these CDBG funds to the community, staff conducted public outreach, held a public hearing, and administered a notice of funding availability, or NOFA, process that allowed interested parties to submit applications for the funds. Here's just a quick overview of our community outreach process, and as you can see, staff conducted extensive outreach to community organizations. At the April 8th council meeting, because of the limited funding available and the significantly higher applicant funding requests, staff presented the City Council with an analysis of CDBG applications and funding options to seek your input and direction on the applications and the final activities to include in the draft annual action plan. For non-public service applications, staff provided an analysis and recommendation. And if you recall, we had 4 applications, and upon review and in consultation with the city's HUD representative, staff determined that there were 2 applications, that's Week Hair and the Miller Barn. Those 2 projects will not be eligible for funding, and we reviewed the reasons in detail with the City Council. And that leaves 2 applications that are eligible, and staff recommendation was basically an equal amount to the 2 applications, and that's Public Works for sidewalk curb ramp and Rebuilding Together Silicon Valley for the repair and accessibility modification program for low-income homeowners. For public service applications, staff also provided a complete overview of the applications and supporting documents, as well as eligibility based on the description given in the application narrative. Staff shared that we determined 1 application was ineligible, and that will leave 10 remaining applications. And we presented 3 approaches and options to the City Council. Council provided direction to proceed with the non-duplication option, and this was the result of that non-duplication option. At the same April meeting, staff also presented the options to Council about the program administration, and Council provided direction to also proceed with the non-duplication option, which is that second one in the middle there. So we just summarized the April 8th Council meeting. And following this meeting, staff updated the draft annual action plan with those funding directions from the City Council. Subsequent to this meeting, St. Joseph's Family Center and the South County Compassion Center announced their plans to merge resources. St. Joseph's Family Center also requested that their homeless prevention services funding recommendation be reallocated to the South County Compassion Center's outreach for the unhoused program. Given the upcoming merger of the 2 organizations, staff believes the request is reasonable. We also held a 30-day public comment period from April 5th through May 5th for the draft annual action plan to seek community input. We received 4 public comments. These comments point to a need for affordable and accessible childcare. Staff does not disagree with this, but within the context of CDBG funding, as we explained in detail at the April 8th Council meeting with all the listed reasons, staff does not recommend CDBG funding for childcare. And as I mentioned, HUD still hasn't released the formula allocation. When the actual amount is released, staff will adjust the proposed allocation for each application proportionally to align with Council direction. And we'll also incorporate those adjustments in the annual action plan before we submit it to HUD. So this is the first half of the table, but this is for public service, and this table summarizes the final proposed allocation. It is based on the April 8th Council direction, with the exception of reallocating St. Joseph's allocation to South County Compassion Center. So you can see for South County Compassion Center, we added those 2 numbers together and zeroed it out for St. Joseph's Family Center. And this is the table, the remaining table for non-public service and program administration based on April 8th Council direction. So here's staff's recommendation for Council to approve the CDBG funding allocations and annual action plan for program year 24-25 and direct the Community Development Director or designee to submit the annual action plan to HUD and further authorize the Community Development Director or designee to make any changes to the annual action plans needed to comply with CDBG submission guidelines. And this is because we don't have the HUD annual allocation yet, so we'll have to make those changes, as I described earlier, to be proportionate and adjusted, for the actual number. So that concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, we do have someone from the public who wants to speak. If that's all right with everybody, I'm going to go to her first. Was it Deanne Everton? You could please go ahead and come up. And that's all I see, Beth. Is that right? One?
Correct.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name's Deanne Everton, the Executive Director for Rebuilding Together, and always appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more about our program. Rebuilding Together has been serving the City of Gilroy since 2018 as recipients of CDBG funding, assisting low-income, owner-occupied households, including mobile homes, with critical repairs and safety modifications. Our goal is to give people the opportunity to remain in their home as long as their health will allow and not the condition of the home. We review every home based on 25 healthy housing priorities, and we strive to make repairs that create a safe and healthy environment for our neighbors to thrive as they age and remain in their treasured home and community. We replace roofs, we install grab bars, and everything in between. Our clients have lived in their homes for an average of 25 years. They are 74 years old on average and have an average income of $32,000. They are our neighbors, our family, and they could be us one day, struggling to keep the home we've invested so much into and desperately wanting to live in as long as we can and pass on to our children. Supporting the work of Rebuilding Together is a cost-effective and efficient way to preserve affordable housing, prevent homelessness, and contribute to the diversity of our neighborhoods. On April 27th, we joined with community volunteers and supporters to work on 22 homes around the county as part of National Rebuilding Day, and one of those recipients was a lifelong Gilroy resident, Gilroy Unified School District employee who raised 4 children in the home she inherited from her mother and has worked tirelessly to care for many years. She's been very active in giving to her community, and we were fortunate to have the opportunity to make life a little easier for her. We thank you, and your community thanks you, for your commitment to the use of these CDBG funds that make life-changing impacts for our neighbors. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so that was opening the public hearing then at 8, whatever it was, 8:15, I guess it was 8:13, and closing it at 8:16. Okay, so back to council. Is there any discussion on this or a motion?
I'll move.
Okay, moved by Councilmember Marks.
Second.
And seconded by Councilmember Tovar. Do you want us to use the screen because the screen isn't correctly saying who made the motion?
For the record, we assume that motion is for items A and B both?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
And the screen is wrong, Beth. The mover and the second.
It's okay. Yeah. No, it's all right. Why don't you just do a roll call? Yeah.
Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
Mayor Blankley?
Yes, that's unanimous. All right. Item 10.1, City Council Downtown Committee Part 3, Subcommittee Reports and Recommendations. This one is code enforcement. The Gilroy Downtown Committee is presenting. Is that Susan Jacobson? Okay. You want to come on up and give us your report? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Susan Jacobson, and I'm on the Downtown Committee and one of the people on the subcommittee for the code enforcement. Just a little history. We weren't sure what we were asking or what we needed to ask, so we came up with some ideas. We wanted to identify who supervises the code enforcement team, and we found out it's the community development director. And then we asked, is the code enforcement complaint-driven, observation by staff, or the community? Staff reported that it's complaint-driven, and the important part is health and safety. That's what they are most focused on. And they gave us a list of code enforcements for private property, abandonment or dangerous buildings, blighted property and maintenance concerns, business license verification, land use, zoning permits, illegal tree removal, seasonal outdoor sales, signs and an advertisement, unsafe living conditions. So we asked, with all the things that were listed, what was important or should be focused on by the committee. We thought that we would like to work toward a code enforcement officer for downtown. We know that's asking a lot, and code enforcement's all over the city that needs to be done, but that was just a thought. Educate business and property owners on procedures detailing how to make complaints about downtown code violations, because sometimes they don't know what to do. They don't know who to call. So we want to do a little education on that. We want to increase the fines downtown for code violations. In addition, we noticed there could be the possibility of increasing sign notifications regarding penalties for violations. We found some online, and that might be a good idea to have posted downtown. Also, to be an advocate for the approval of the P bid by downtown property owners, which could provide designated funding for additional private security in the downtown quarter. Recognize code enforcement is a citywide issue. We know it's not just downtown. And per city staff report, Gilroy has a reactive model of code enforcement, funding for twice as many code enforcement officers would change the model to proactive. City staff should include in the staff reports to council the additional code enforcement required when city council is considering passing additional ordinance. So what that kind of summarizes is if code enforcement is going to be successful, we have to enforce the codes. We recommended monthly drive-bys in downtown to identify street vendor violations. I understand that there's 3 street vendors that have a permit from the city and Santa Clara Health Department. Well, what about the others? They're still out there. They're still there. We're going to do something about that. We recommended monthly, quarterly reports from the code enforcement to provide council and general public. We did receive the annual report for February 25th, 24, and that's where we learned that 500 of the issues that cases they were working on were smoking. That's a lot. And then we had a breakdown, and I think you folks have that too, as to what they were. So we feel that code enforcement needs to continue to be a top priority in downtown. Any questions?
All right, council members, any questions for Susan? Nope.
Okay, so what the importance is we have to be successful by enforcing the codes and the ordinances that you guys come up with.
Thank you for the report. Okay, I'd like to open public comment.
No speakers.
All right, I will close public comment. Council discussion and direction regarding the report. That's kind of where we are. Does anyone have anything they wish to say? Okay. Seeing none, it just goes on the list. It's added to the list. All right, 10.2 is a customer service relationship management program. Bryce Atkins, you're going to give us this report?
Yes, Mayor and Council. So as mentioned, we are here to present tonight about the customer service relationship management program that the city is implementing. So to give some background, customer service is a critical function for local government. So we are a service-oriented sector primarily, and we have a captured customer base, which means that there's a lot of services that residents can only get from the city. And while some may think that means that customer service isn't as important, in fact, it actually makes it more important for that particular reason. So we are in the early stage of redesigning customer service requests and how we handle them when they come into the system. And so the first key step for us is the implementation of a comprehensive customer relationship management platform. This will allow for performance management, service enhancement, and data in order to help with the management of providing city services. So the city receives customer service requests through various channels. In person, which is less common, especially after the pandemic. Telephone calls, emails, the city's website with a report of concern, and something that's emerging more and more often as time passes, the use of associated portals and online items such as the Go Permit, Civic Rec, our utility billing, bill pay. So this is an emerging area for how we receive requests. As you'll note, though, that most of the channels that were listed actually go through our system to an individual. So if somebody calls an employee directly, sends an email to a particular person. And this creates an opportunity for issues that may rise from that. So a couple of the challenges are inconsistent service levels. When different departments receive a request or a complaint or issue, they attempt to address it through the lens of the services that they provide. Another issue and challenge is service request drops. So let's say a resident sends an email to one department, that's how the department handles it, then they have to forward and transfer to another department to the right person. So every time it transfers, that's another node of communication that can have something drop through the cracks. The other issue is duplicate requests. So multiple people may call in on the same pothole, but call into different staff, different divisions, and result in duplication of effort. And then the opposite side of that coin is the assumption that others have reported it and not know. And so we have a period where service is needed, but nobody's aware that the action needs to be taken. Internal routing issues, we've discussed sometimes it goes to the wrong staff person. There's a hunt to find the right person that takes care of that particular function. And all this leads to the final one, which is probably one of the more concerning ones, is resident frustration. So as residents become frustrated with customer service, not seeing action taken on their items, it can lead to either disengagement, where they just give up and pull away, or increased frustrations, and which is not a good thing regardless. So we are looking different service platforms. We decided to use Civic Plus. It's one of the major software as a service providers in the public sector. There's the same developer that we have our city website with, Civic Engage, recreation management and volunteer program as well with Civic Rec. What it is produce an online portal, a mobile app or web browser can access it to submit requests and complaints. It allows residents to take a picture while they're out of a pothole or a sign down, loose and stray animal, whatever concern may come up, and then it enters it into the system automatically and then routes it through a workflow to different staff based on the issue. So requests stay open until actively closed, meaning that until somebody's action makes the declaration that an item has been addressed, it stays on the task list for the city. Open requests are publicly available for view, so residents can see if somebody's already called in the complaint on an issue or if somebody hasn't yet, and they can make that initiative. Maintains communications immediately entered throughout the request management, which means that if, let's say, an employee receives it and in reality it should be going to another employee, they just get added to that work task. It's not that it's something that transfers to them, and all that communication stays in there, so you don't have employees having to contact a customer or resident again to ask the same questions. The workflow allows multiple positions, divisions, and even multiple departments to work on requests. And one of the advantages of this is also that management can be included as observers for allowing them to track requests that are coming in, make sure that the requests are being resolved in a timely fashion, and that the service is fully provided. Additionally, the customized mobile application will be developed, which will be city-specific. It will allow for, as I mentioned, geotagging, which means you can identify specifically in the city where the issue is, as far as if it's an infrastructure problem or something in a community issue. It integrates with CityWorks, which is our Public Works work order system. So residents enter it into C-Click Fix. It goes immediately to our Public Works system and the system that they're familiar with. And once they complete in there, it automatically uploads into C-Click Fix, allowing the resident real-time results on the work that's being done. And it can integrate with our GIS system. So we're exploring possibilities once that's implemented, which will allow us better data gathering and analysis on physical locations of the community and seeing issues that may pop up. So addresses some of the challenges with the consistent and programmed workflows by issue type. It lessens the rerouting frequency, same personnel getting the requests each time, and less possible confusion about who does what. Service request awareness as well, so management will be able to see all the requests coming in, identify issues, and manage for performance. Allows them to see the issues that are coming in before they might escalate to a point where you have customer frustration. Open requests remain, as mentioned, visible until completed, aiding the prevention of request drops and duplication of reporting. And then communications history remain consistent, so you don't have the need for repeat conversations and increasing resident frustration. So the system is early in development. We are working right now on the portal framework. Developer rights and foundational settings are currently underway. After that, we'll begin working on the workflows, custom app development, and user account setting after that. So in the agenda packet was a series of links to different cities that are using that system and what they can do. I do want to display real briefly Menlo Parks. They did something a little different. They did a nested within their city's website, and so you can go directly inside and never have to leave their site. We're looking at something similar, but we're looking to see if there's a way that we can make it a little more integrated, a little less boxy, and a little more adaptive. So we do want to stress that the program is not the ultimate enhancement to customer service. We know it's not going to solve all the problems right out of the gate, but it is a foundation to build enhancements upon and around. And so we're looking towards more system integrations. But again, technology is also only part of the customer service equation. Right? We use a system to analyze response times, provide more targeted outreach possibly, identify areas in the city that need more attention for certain issues, and facilitate future staff training so we can look at how staff responded to different issues, see if there's ways and opportunities to improve that in the future. We want to stress that we're not simply adding a customer service initiative. We're wanting to make this part of our business practice and actually affect the organizational culture. So we want to instill this essential nature of customer service as an ongoing process, an iterative process. So make an improvement, we adopt it into our standard operating procedures and internalize it as a value, and then take the next step in improvement, and the next step in improvement, and keep going that way on and on. And always seeking to improve customer service and experience. It's continual evolution, and we can see that with the first round of improvements, our land management system, our ERP system, and utility billing process. So this is the next phase, expanding that to all total customer service requests. One note, this obviously will not affect calls for service for police and fire. Obviously, that's not designed for that. Fiscal impact, there's no action on this item. This is an informational item only, but the program cost was $47,000. It's shared across the general fund, enterprise funds, and other funds, because it's going to handle services across the gamut of the city. That provides the platform, customization, and unlimited user licenses, which allows us to do a lot of interesting things with the workflow to make sure that the work is getting to the right people. Public outreach, as the program nears release and features are completed, staff will coordinate with Communication Engagement Office. And we're going to try to find the maximum possible effective way to get information out about this as a customer service key tool available for the public. We'll still obviously take phone calls, we'll take emails, but the intent is that then the city staff will enter that into the system. So that system contains everything, all customer service requests that we receive. So the next steps, staff will continue developing the program, incorporating direction that we receive along the way, and then reporting to council developments in the project as it moves forward. The recommendation for this item is council receive the report. Happy to address any questions or concerns. Thank you.
Okay, Bryce, thank you. Council members, does anyone want to start with any questions, or I'll go to, are you on here? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but go ahead, Councilmember Armendariz.
Thank you. I've seen these programs in other cities work really well, especially when they have timelines attached to completion of the reports. How long do you think it'll take us to get to that place where, we can tell our residents, we'll clean that blight up within the 24 hours,
Yes.
for example?
So the system allows us to incorporate that automatic response and time setting right off the bat. So the dependent factor is obviously city staffing and our response times are working through that. So the workflow setup stage is where we're going to establish those timeframes for some of the common ones, like animal call complaints, graffiti response, abandoned vehicles, those type of items. There's some workflow that may require longer time frames, but again, that's what so administration and our staff is going to coordinate with the other departments in order to establish what reasonable time frames can we deliver upon, get those into the system first, and then the key thing is testing and monitoring performance as it goes forward to make sure that the time frames aren't too long or too short, and that we make sure that we meet the expectations that we're laying forward.
Thank you. And then, what languages will it be offered in?
So the system natively works with English and Spanish, but with the website technology that we have now, we test it. It actually translates to any language based on the web browser that's being used. Okay. There are some buttons that they say are customer developed, and so those we would propose, since those apparently don't translate in the system, we'll have English and Spanish on each button.
Okay. And then last question: is there a phone number available also, or just the app?
The app is the primary way of enter, but the information desk number is still valid. All the other numbers are still serviceable. We're just going to ask residents to try the system out and hopefully get buy-in on that one since it provides much more real time. But we will take phone calls still. Again, there's the technology adoption gap that we have, and so we want to make sure that we are open to all the input that we can, but we're going to start using that system to take that phone call and email into the system and route it properly at that point in time. But the intent is, hopefully, as time goes on, as there's more advanced technology adoption, is that this system becomes the primary way of entering the information and the requests.
Great, thank you.
All right, Bryce, I have a question. Thank you for the report. And gosh, anything that will help us solve resident frustration is absolutely, something that's going to benefit us all. I want a little more, I would like a little more clarity on what this means so that I can help share what we're trying to do here with the public. And that is, when one of the bullet points said that the request will remain open to and be publicly available for view, what exactly does that mean? That any member of the public can go in and see all of the requests that that have not been closed?
Correct. So any infrastructure, so there's certain service requests that, for whatever reason, as we go through, that might not want to be public, but the intent and the design of the program is that those become public, that their location is identified, and the whole intent is that, let's say there's a major pothole that develops after a storm. Yeah, residents can go on there and see, okay, somebody's already reported, I don't need to worry about it, it's being taken care of, and they can see the status report as far as time frame when we think we're going to get out there and serve once the work is conducted. It also allows people to see, okay, there's a big pothole here, there's no request for service marked on there, so they know, okay, if I enter it, I'll get it in there. And so it keeps it transparent, and the intent is that there's transparency in it and accountability to make sure that the work is getting done. The item cannot be deemed completed until somebody has to actively do it. It can't just, there's not like a time default or it drops off the list just happenstance. Somebody actually has to go in and declare it complete through an update process and form on the back end.
So the only thing that could go wrong is somebody goes in and says it's complete when it wasn't.
That's correct. But we'll know exactly, at that point, that comes down to the transparency accountability. There's known who internally as far as who entered that into the system, and we can follow up why they felt it was deemed complete.
Okay, so now speaking of the kinds of things this is used for, because you said this is not for police and fire kind of calls, but it would be for things like overgrown trees that are right in the way, potholes or anything to do with the streets.
Correct.
Trash or blight or graffiti, those kinds of things, yes. What about code enforcement issues? Because that falls under community development, not police, but sometimes, so code enforcement, yes?
Code enforcement can
that
be
would go
part
through
of
here
that.
too.
Yep.
Okay, that would really help, I think, because I hear from too many, and I'm not saying I hear from hundreds, but if it's a dozen people that feel like they never reach a person and that their call doesn't get returned, and so I've got to follow up on where things happen, this would be a really great way to log. Somebody can log that in and be able to see somewhere where this thing stands, even if it's not telling you on whose plate it sits.
Correct.
Right? And the length of time that it's been open will also be visible.
Correct.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, this is going to be very similar to the land management system, which has really been beneficial to staff because we have had occasions when folks will say, I submitted my permit. And we go look at the log and we can verify when it was submitted or wasn't submitted.
Right.
On this date, I called this person. Well, we get nothing. The log proves exactly what happens. And in many instances where I've met with some of you council members and say, can I have the log of what's going on with code enforcement at this property or, wherever, we have the whole list of everything that's ever been done. This is exactly the same concept we want to do with our customer service request because we know it's an antiquated system. It's not really highly technologically based. It's going to get in line with our ERP and our LMS systems that already have improved customer service on a lot of levels.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, can't wait to see it go. And it's meant for people to be able to take a picture, load the picture, provide the location, and off it goes.
Correct.
Okay, wonderful. May I go to public comment? Are there any? All right, closing public comment. Any other comments from council? This is an item of just direction, right?
Receive report, correct.
Yeah. Okay, so we've received the report. our direction is keep going in that direction?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. All right, 11.3, receive draft updates of the city's annual shared cost sidewalk replacement program. Heba's going to give us this report.
Honorable Mayor and Council members, the Public Works Department would like to streamline the sidewalk replacement program, and we're seeking your input tonight on draft updates to the program. We will go back and make adjustments accordingly, and we'll come back on June 17th for your consideration and approval. The city has had a shared cost sidewalk repair program since. Oh yes. Thank you. The city has had the cost share program since 2006, which is mainly complaint based. It unfortunately hasn't been very effective in performing the repairs citywide in a timely manner. It relies on the property owners agreeing to pay the full cost upfront for all improvements. The sidewalk replacement, if there are trees that need to be replaced, curb and gutter, pavement edge, and so forth. They have to pay that upfront and then seek reimbursement from the city, which is challenging for some of our community members, especially in the older neighborhoods. And the property owners have to retain the contractor. They have to seek bids from 3 contractors, and they have to go with the lowest bid. They are not necessarily familiar with the process. So it's challenging, and we end up with inconsistent work throughout the city, depending on the contractors performing the various projects. It's been time-consuming for staff having to inspect different projects by different contractors throughout the city, and time-consuming to communicate with the property owners, trying to educate them about the program, trying to get them to accept participating in the program, which has been causing a significant amount of delays in our progress, and we haven't been able to perform much enforcement with the current practice. We are not seeking to change the overall project funding. City Council approved the CIP for fiscal year 24 through 28 with a budgeted amount of $500,000 per year, and this is the amount that we will continue with. So the draft updates are mainly targeting the process itself. We would like the department to take the lead in identifying the deficiencies of our sidewalks throughout the city in an equitable manner, and focusing on key routes, starting with key routes to schools and other major traffic generators. We also have a comprehensive database of the deficient sidewalk locations and curb ramps that are not ADA compliant or non-existent. So we have the information that we can rely on, along with other factors that we could discuss, that we would identify and prioritize the projects accordingly. The city would also, we would notify the property owners of the deficiencies abutting to their properties and the program and their responsibilities, including their financial responsibilities. We would establish a single CIP performed by a single licensed contractor based on our regular bidding process that we as city staff would manage and inspect, so ensuring that the work would be performed consistently throughout the city. And following completion of the work, we would invoice the property owners for their share of the cost, with a provision of 90 days for payment. And we will follow up with a second letter at least 30 days in advance of the due date, as a reminder. We're also proposing that there would be the option of having payment arrangement extending over a 6-month period. We prefer not to have it longer because the funds that we would be collecting would feed into the work being performed the following year. So it would be added on the available funds. In the event of non-payment, the city would have the right to apply a lien against the individual property. Property is based on their share of the cost, and they would pay to the county along with their annual property tax bill. We're proposing to keep the cost sharing similar to what we're practicing today. The property owners would be responsible for 100% of the sidewalk replacement if it's caused by a private tree. The city and the property owner would share the cost 50-50 if the sidewalk replacement is caused by a public tree. If the tree is private, its replacement would be the responsibility of the property owner. If it's a public tree, the city would fund its replacement. Curb and gutter replacement and pavement work, that's 100% the city's responsibility. Driveway approach replacement, that's the owner's responsibility. And the last item, we're proposing to increase the currently practiced limit of $20,000 to $30,000 as a limit for the city's contribution if the property is adjacent to a commercial property, because some of the commercial properties extend over a significant distance, and if we contribute more than that, it would consume a significant amount of the available funds. Why do property owners have to pay towards the sidewalk repairs? According to the state Streets and Highways Code, as well as the city's municipal code, property owners are liable and responsible for the repair and maintenance of abutting sidewalks and landscaping strips. Also, the state code provides local agencies, after adequate noticing to bill the property owners for the costs, and if not paid, to establish a lien on the property. And the property owners benefit from the upgrades to the public right-of-way adjacent to their properties. The expected improvements to the process, what we could achieve from these suggested changes, the property owners wouldn't have to come up with the upfront costs that could be challenging for them. The city would take the lead. The property owners would be responsible for less. Improve the efficiency of the program, which is our primary objective, to improve the efficiency of the program and to implement more than what we're doing today, using the same amount of funds, simply by improving the process itself. Reduce the demands on our staff and establish consistency in the quality of the work that we implement throughout the city. Other alternatives would be to retain the current process with no changes. The city could consider paying for all repairs without seeking cost sharing from the property owners, or pay for all repairs without seeking cost sharing from low-income property owners of residential properties, using the CARE program, similar to what PG&E utilizes. We also would like, aside from the sidewalk replacement, we would like to utilize the funds that will remain from this fiscal year's budget, which is about $280,000 to $300,000 after the reimbursements that are currently underway, to set a separate contract for sidewalk repairs. And that to reduce the demands on the overall program for sidewalk replacement, for larger scale projects. It's more cost effectively to do the repairs when possible. What I'm showing here, whenever the lift is 2 inches or less, we can actually shave the sidewalks and make it ADA compliant. So in a situation like that, we would do the repair until it's time, if it deteriorates, to replace the sidewalk. With that, the recommendations this is an information item, and we would appreciate your feedback on the updates. And as I mentioned, we will go back, make revisions accordingly, and come back for your consideration on June 17th.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a wonderful report. If I understand it correctly, or at least part of it, it's sort of flipping what we currently do now. What we currently do now is have the homeowner initiate the process, pay for the whole thing, wait for the city to reimburse half. And this is saying, no, we'll initiate the process, pay for the whole thing, and then you, homeowner, reimburse the 50%.
50% only of the sidewalk piece.
Yes, the sidewalk piece, and if it's a public tree that caused it. Right,
yes.
Right, I understand. So that does sound like a much better way to go about it, whether or not there are council members who want to entertain other things. But now I see people on the board, so I'm going to go to other council members. Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for this report. I appreciate the, kind of thinking outside of the box here, right? I think it will benefit many of our residents in Gilroy, obviously, especially those that may not be able to pay up front, right? So I appreciate you thinking like that. Just a question, because I know some other cities that have similar programs, they do not, the folks that are not eligible would be like a commercial or a rental property. Would that apply for us here? Would somebody who has a rental property or a commercial property that needs repair, would they be able to still be part of this program?
Yes, it applies for the areas adjacent to residential as well as commercial properties. Not all cities or not all jurisdictions within California require cost sharing. There is a significant amount of jurisdictions, though, as Ventura, Concord, San Rafael. There are multiple, including in the Bay Area, that requires the 50% cost sharing.
Right, and going back to what you said, adjacent from residential areas. Now, where we have nonprofits or some churches are very close to residential areas. So again, just clarification, they would be eligible for this program.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Klein.
Thank you for the report. I did participate in this program way back when.
Tom, is your mic on?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Yeah,
barely
I'll
hear you.
speak in it.
Okay.
One quick question. In the process with this program, will the property owner be aware of the cost before the work begins? Or is it just, are they part of that process? Hey, we're getting bids, it's going to cost X, Y. How much are they aware of that, just to know what they got to save up for, what they're going to have to pay?
We could provide estimates based on our engineering estimates that we would establish before seeking bids. It will not necessarily be exactly accurate until they receive the actual cost by the invoice after the work is completed.
Yeah, just in a sense of having them involved, I would want to know that, at least having a rough idea of what that would be at that moment. So, okay, thanks.
All right, Councilmember Armendariz.
Thank you. My mic's on, right?
I can hear you.
Okay, thanks. I like this program. I think you're right in that the previous program was cumbersome, confusing for folks. Can you tell me what the average repair cost is, ballpark for homeowners?
It depends on the work that would be involved. The cost of, so far since January of 2022, we reimbursed 41 property owners, and the cost varied depending on the work between $600 to $21,000. Okay. But it's clear and from the analysis provided in the staff report that the bigger the job, the unit cost goes down. For example, there is a table in the staff report that shows the unit cost of square foot of sidewalks going down from about $25 to $16 when the job is bigger. That's why we're hoping to do more for the same amount of funds.
And that would come with the consistency of having the same contractor for everything.
And from the economy of scale, right? From the size of the work.
Right. And then I do appreciate the payment arrangement. I think that'll be very helpful to our lower income residents and our seniors and others who are on a fixed income. Could we explore a longer repayment timeline for folks who are lower on the scale in terms of income, or seniors who are residents of their own homes?
Yes, we could. We also have the options of providing further subsidies for low income. But if I understand you correctly, you're interested in extending the 6 months period to a longer duration for payment?
If we could look into that, and also, subsidy sounds excellent too, but I think a longer repayment timeline would help a lot of people.
Okay. Yes, I understand.
Yeah, but how is that different than the one when you had alternatives, the screen with alternatives? city to fund all repairs. City to fund all repairs without seeking cost sharing by low income. Okay, that's what it was. To fund all repairs, and you're saying no. Let's just give them longer.
I mean, that
to
would be
pay.
ideal. I'm not sure if the council has a political appetite for that, but I would love that. I just think that, if folks can repay it, it'll just take them longer. I think, property owners would appreciate that if they're low income.
Of course. So is this, we're giving direction, is this something you're going to come back to council with from the direction?
Yes.
So if council were to so direct, you could probably quantify maybe how much that would, like, what constitutes low income? At what threshold would they have all the repairs fully paid for versus ones that take? I don't know if we want to open this can. I'm just saying,
Like a sliding scale, is that what you mean?
well, something that quantifies it is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because
Like the CARE program you mentioned through PG&E?
yeah, something like that. I wouldn't want it to be low income as defined by area median, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would need to be something more specific. So I don't know. We'll see if enough council members have interest in that. I'm not trying to make a suggestion on my own. But Councilmember Klein, you have something you want to say?
Just one other question that I had. The contractor doing it wouldn't be city doing this. The city would not be doing this, correct? It would be like what we do with other projects, bidding it out for that period of time, whether it's a year or whatever that duration is. It would just be one contractor that would be doing the work. Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
The city would manage
yes.
the work
Okay.
being performed by the contractor.
The streets, just like everything else.
Similar to the
Okay.
pavement rehab and other CIPs.
Great, thanks.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember
I've
Topher.
been up here. Mayor?
Oh,
Do you see my name?
I do not.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't see it either.
Oh, really? It's right there.
Okay,
I don't know.
go ahead.
All right.
Sorry.
I was sitting here having a thought about, there's a lot of people, that are very able to do their own cement work, and I understand that you want the consistency, but I'm a little concerned that maybe a contractor could be charging a lot more than what someone else could do for himself or herself, or have a friend that can do it a lot cheaper. Because I feel like Councilmember Armendariz, I really worry about people who cannot afford something and all of a sudden get a $6,000 bill from the city when maybe it could have been done a lot cheaper. That's my concern, and it's kind of difficult because I know you want the consistency, which I agree, but I'm worried about some surprise bills going to some of the families.
Is there an opt-out? Is that what you're kind of?
Well, I don't know. That might be something to consider, but then if you start allowing people to opt out, then you have the inconsistency. I guess if you looked at the contractor and maybe base him on his prices to see if he is, inexpensive.
Yes, we will be seeking bids from at least 3 contractors, and we will go with the lowest bid as per our current practice with other CIP. However, opting out would affect whether the work is getting done or not. And by evaluating the reimbursements that we've processed in the past couple of years, it's actually more costly for the property owners to do the work on their own, seeking contractors that perform small-scale projects relative to the unit cost that we experience on large projects.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, did I already ask for public comment on this?
Mayor? No, you skipped me. Yeah.
Wow. All right, you guys, thanks for speaking up because I'm not seeing you. Councilmember Bracco.
Okay, don't forget about me. I'm over here too.
I know, but you spoke once, right?
Yeah, no, I'm saying
He
don't
hasn't.
forget about me.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm saying don't forget about me.
Okay.
Is the city, for managing this, are they going to be charging the fund for their time?
No. Management of the contractor is staff time, similar to what we practice with other CIP. We don't charge the capital projects currently.
Okay. And then you said that it's going to be cheaper because of how much you'll be doing. But you're going to do one little project at a time, just like we're doing right now, right?
No, the contractor will be performing as much as we can within our budget limit annually. So we could be working on 20 locations at the same time. It's going to be an annual CIP within the 500,000 available.
And how does somebody get their sidewalk fixed?
For the repairs?
Yeah.
If the repairs are possible, and that's evaluated through our database, prepared by Street Scan, and as part of our evaluation of the field, that will be separate under the second contract that I'm proposing for doing the small-scale repairs. Not replacement of sidewalks and trees and curb and gutter, just repairs.
But what I'm asking is, you were saying that you were going to prioritize like routes to school and stuff.
Yes.
Okay, well, to the homeowner that's not on that route, their sidewalk's still a priority to them. So it's all going to be the city's decision on whose sidewalks get fixed and whose doesn't?
Yes and no, because the city's decision is based on criteria, including the database that we have. The database identifies the severity of the damage, the rating within the deficiency scale. So that will be one of the criteria that we will take into account. And when we start with the routes to schools, for example, that's initially because we're so much behind that we have to prioritize the work and for the first couple of years or so. But we will definitely take into account the available database. We have a very comprehensive database that tell us with photos, with dimensions, with slopes, whether it's ADA compliant or not, and not just sidewalks, curb and gutter, curb ramps, and so forth.
Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you. I guess in line with a lot of the concerns that you're hearing now, in the report, obviously, and I think it goes back to those individuals who maybe can't afford to pay whatever the bill is, and or those that just say, I can't afford it, right? In here it states that if they do not pay back, we put a lien on their home, right? And that's concerning, right? Because it goes back to the concerns that you're hearing about you're going to have, and as Councilmember Brockle said, every homeowner thinks or knows that their sidewalk is important, but if we're going to do the work and I say, hey, I can't afford it, you're charging me $6,000, there's no way I can pay it. Then what we're going to say is, well, we're going to put a lien on your home, right? So now we put that homeowner even in a worse situation, right? Where some other cities, what they do is when there's a sidewalk that's dangerous, the city will do a temporary repair to make it safe. And then obviously, work to see if that fixes the problem. If not, then they get the contractor out. That's what some cities do to try to, make sure that every sidewalk is safe. I don't think we're doing that, but I guess my concern is for those folks who can't afford, how do we get them to avoid from getting their home put on a lien?
That's why we're also sharing the options of further subsidies of lower income property owners. And with the installments, if we're going to increase the 6 months to a year, let's say, then rather than paying the $6,000, they could pay $500 per month until they pay the $6,000. So there are means to make it easier on our community members. They may qualify for paying less depending on their income level. And with regards to the minor repairs that I mentioned, that would be under a separate contract, and from I would call it saving, but it's not really saving because we couldn't do all the work. But using the savings from this year, and we would not be charging our community members for the minor repairs.
Thank you.
All right. Good discussion, everyone. I'm wondering if we might want to give direction that you come back with exactly what you're recommending, but with more information on a cost sharing by low-income owner occupied. Information that would help us understand what is that threshold, whether you use PG&E as an example or not, so that we can better ascertain what that means. Is that agreeable with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough then for direction?
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
No public comment.
Yeah, I thought I asked. Didn't I ask? I didn't? Okay. Okay. Thank you. No public. Okay. No public comment. All right. 10.4 is approval of an exception to the CalPERS 180-day waiting period for work after retirement for Olgarita Carranza, a retired annuitant, to serve in an extra help position in the Public Works Department. And this is going to be Leanne.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council, members of the community that are left with this evening, the diehards that are here. This is an item before you because we need some help in the Public Works Department. We are currently recruiting to fill a couple vacant analyst positions. And in the meantime, we have a backlog of work that needs to be performed. And then we also need to have the help of a former employee in order to train the new employees that are coming on board. So it's a win-win solution to complete this process to bring back Olgarita Carranza. She is a former management analyst in the Public Works Department. In order for us to bring her back before 180 days has expired from the date she retired, the City Council has to adopt a resolution approving her return to employment. We would follow all rules associated with the employment of a retired annuitant. She can only work 960 hours in a fiscal year. And there's really strict provisions about what she can be paid, and she can't receive any benefits and those kinds of things. So this is really a stopgap measure to get some much-needed qualified staffing in the Public Works Department until we can fill the 2 vacant management analyst positions. So I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have. Otherwise, the action before you tonight is to adopt a resolution approving the exception to the CalPERS 180-day wait period and the appointment of Olgarita Carranza to help in an extra help position in the Public Works Department. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, I'm stepping in for the mayor while she's gone. Is there any public comment?
No, there's not.
Is there any council discussion?
Second.
Okay, but before we go to a vote, I see Councilmember Klein.
Too late.
It's kind of like what we're doing with Beth. Correct.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. That's okay.
Okay.
Except for in this situation, the 180 days has not passed, so we have to adopt the resolution, whereas with Beth, the 180 days had already passed, so we didn't have to bring a resolution to council. It's just that nuance.
Okay. Councilmember Tovar.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Leanne, in regards to, again, I'm in favor of this, but in regards to kind of the hourly rate, it says a minimum of $43.87 and as high as $58.50.
Mm-hmm.
And we've decided to give her the highest amount, right? Can you explain why?
Because that's what she was getting when she worked here. She was a top step experienced analyst. We're not going to have her take a pay reduction to come back and help us out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, it's been moved and seconded, so I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, okay. It's been moved and seconded?
Yes.
Okay, and that was just some discussion. Okay, then are we ready for a vote?
Has to be a roll call vote. So Councilmember Bracco?
Yes.
Councilmember Armendariz?
Yes.
Councilmember Marks?
Yes.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Tovar?
Yes.
Mayor Blankley?
Yes, all right,
Thank you.
unanimous.
Thank you,
Great.
Leanne.
Okay, item 11, we have none. Item 12, city administrators' reports.
I have no report this evening, Madam Mayor.
All right, city attorneys' reports.
I'd like to report on 2 matters of interest to the council that have both been in the press. The first has to do with the Grants Pass case about public camping and the homeless. And the second is the SB 9 case that you probably all read about, that came out of Los Angeles and dealt with the issue of whether SB 9 is valid as applied to charter cities. So the first on the Grants Pass case, we've talked about this before. Remember, this is a follow-on to the Boise case, and the city of Grants Pass passed an ordinance like the Boise ordinance, but actually more lenient, but it did ban certain public camping in parks and public areas. It was also struck down by the Ninth Circuit on the basis that it violated the Eighth Amendment's prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. The argument made by the homeless advocates is that it criminalizes the status of being homeless because homeless people have to sleep somewhere, and if they're homeless, they end up sleeping in public, and so that's a necessary attribute of their status of being homeless. People in favor of the ordinance said that it's criminalizing conduct at worst or at most. It's not criminalizing status, and there was a lot of argument at the Supreme Court about line drawing, about how do you distinguish conduct from status. For example, is it still okay to say that somebody cannot drink in public or use use drugs in public? But if you can't criminalize their being an addict because that's status. But if they're an addict and they have to use drugs and they're homeless, then how do they not use it in public? It's the same issue with sleeping in public. At least that's the argument. On the other side, there were also similar arguments against the city saying, well, you've defined camping, among other things, having certain bedding and so on that you're using. What about a baby taking a nap under a blanket? Is that camping and therefore subject to your ordinance? So there was a lot of that going on. When I reported to you last time that the Supreme Court had taken this case, I think I predicted that the ordinance would probably be upheld. In other words, the Ninth Circuit decision would be overruled. I still think that's going to happen. I think it will be a split decision. There's a clear ideological split on the court in the oral argument. So we should get a decision early this summer on the matter, and so we'll keep you informed, of course. The second case is the SB 9 case that has been in the papers and everybody's heard about. You'll recall that SB 9 was intended by the state to end single-family zoning. It doesn't quite do that, but that was the goal. It allows lot splits in residential zones, and it allows you to build a second house on your lot, even if you don't split it. It's not been very used in Gilroy. There are only 2 or 3 examples in the last 2 years, actually, of anyone trying to use SB 9. And in general, around the state, it hasn't been widely used, but it has been to some degree. Several charter cities, and the lead city was Redondo Beach, filed a lawsuit against the state saying that SB 9 infringed on a charter city's right to home rule. As you know, I think about 25% of the cities in the state are charter cities, including this one. And charter cities have the right to home rule in certain areas, and that includes land use planning and zoning. So this is a classic potential conflict. The legislature, however, can declare that certain matters are matters of statewide importance, such that a given law can be applied to charter cities as a infringement of home rule, but a necessary, relatively narrow infringement of home rule. So in this case, the legislature made a finding, and here's what they said. They said the legislature finds and declares that ensuring access to affordable housing is a matter of statewide concern and not a municipal affair, blah, blah, blah. Therefore, SB 9 can be applied to charter cities. Now, the state made the same finding for a variety of other laws that apply to charter cities, like SB 330, which has certain ministerial streamlining of housing projects. However, those projects have to be partly affordable. They can't just be a regular housing project. They have to have an affordable component, typically. So the cities that sued the state said, well, look, the legislative justification for infringing on our right of home rule is to ensure access to affordable housing. But SB 9 has nothing in it about affordable housing. There's no requirement of affordability. There's no restriction, deed restriction, the way there are in other housing laws when you have affordable projects. So they said, even though they said the finding says this was the purpose, but the law has nothing to do with that purpose, really. And the court agreed. the court said, yes, ensuring access to affordable housing is a valid public purpose that would justify infringing on charter cities. However, this particular law simply doesn't deal with it. The state came back and said, well, supplying housing generally through SB 9 would potentially raise the supply, therefore lower the cost, and so that would save it. The court rejected that and said that's pretty speculative and hypothetical, and anyway, that's not what the legislature said. The legislature said the purpose of it was ensuring access to affordable housing. So the court overturned the law, and that's what all the press has gotten, or why there's been so much press, rather. Now, a couple of things to bear in mind. First, this is only a trial court decision from one judge in Los Angeles. It's not binding anywhere in the state other than on these parties. So what's going to happen next? I think there are a couple of possibilities. One is that there will be an appeal of this case, in which case it may be reversed. Secondly, the legislature could certainly go back and change the findings, and that's probably the easiest thing to do, just to make the findings apply to housing in general and make some legislative findings with some evidence perhaps that just increasing the supply of housing will reduce the cost, just the way more ADUs tends to bring the cost down. They could also change SB 9, actually, to put some affordable component. I think that would be difficult, actually, but that's possible. Anyway, that's the case. If anybody has a question about it, I'm happy to answer, but it's a very, it's gotten so much press as though it's the death of SB 9, but we'll have to see where it goes.
You mentioned other pieces of legislation that were coupled with it. Any that apply to our area? Builder's remedy, anything like that included?
Well, the builder's remedy only applies to affordable housing projects that are 20% affordable. So it has the same kind of finding.
Right.
But a court, I believe, would say, well, that does apply to charter cities because it has an explicitly affordable component to it.
Anyone else? Questions? No?
Okay,
All
and
right.
that concludes my report.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, then you want to take us into closed session?
Sure. Closed session, item 14.1, conference with real property negotiators pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, Gilroy City Code Section 17A8A2. The property is the city-owned 536 acres at Hecker Pass, including Gilroy Gardens, generally at 3050 Hecker Pass Highway. The APNs are given in the agenda. Negotiators Jimmy Forbes and Victoria Valencia. Other parties to negotiations are Paul Nakamoto, Bay.org, DBA Aquarium of the Bay, Bay Ecotarium, and under negotiations are price and terms of payment for sale or lease. So the first thing to do is see if there's any public comment. No public comment. Then we can clear the room, adjourn to closed session, and in closed session we have to take a vote to stay in closed session.
Got it. Okay, everybody, mics off.